Chapter 3098, Annihilation. This move was Lin Xian's self-created red dot, and the power of annihilation. It could be said to be a peerless killing move. With a clang, the sword landed on the bronze armor and forced the North Demon back. The North Demon was forced back. Yu Linglong, Han Fei, and the others exclaimed in disbelief. This was the first time they saw the North Demon being forced back. The others were even more shocked. Even someone as strong as Yu Linglong, who was ranked second, couldn't make the North Demon retreat. But now Lin Xian actually forced the North Demon to retreat for more than 10 miles. Didn't that mean that Lin Xian's strength was far above Yu Linglong's? Heavens, this Lin Xian is really too strong, soaring to the skies in one go. Even if he lost, he was ranked second in the extraordinary scholar manner. Other than the North Demon, no one could compete with him. Brother, Qin Wu exclaimed. How could this kid do it? She didn't believe that Lin Xian could force her brother back. The North Demon stopped, and his face darkened. He was careless. If he didn't have the green vine armor, he would have been in danger. He's fine? Lin Xian frowned and felt disappointed. He thought that the sword would be able to hurt the North Demon. He didn't expect his opponent's armor to be so powerful. Was this the armor formed by the green demon vines? As expected of a mutated species that was destroyed by an emperor, it was indeed strong, and not weaker than his 9 yang divine body. Lin Xian, I admit that you're strong. You're actually able to threaten me, but it's over now. Other than the power of wood and the tree of 10,000 demons, I still have the bloodline power of the 10,000 demons' body. Now, I'll show you. The North Demon's voice resounded in all directions. The crowd below was in an uproar. What? Bloodline power? He didn't use it. Heavens, I thought the North Demon used all his strength. I didn't expect him to not use his bloodline power. These people were all crazy. The elders seemed to have been injected with chicken blood. They knew how powerful bloodline power was. Once it was used, its power would increase exponentially. In that case, would Lin Xian be able to withstand it? The elders of the ethereal peak chuckled out. He was the North Demon indeed. To think that he had yet to unleash his full strength up till now. That Lin Xian had probably overdone it. That was for sure. That sword strike just now had used the power of the great dragon sword soul. He should have no more trump cards left. No matter how strong he wasn't senior brother North Monster's match. Those from the Misty Peak were agitated. Yu Linglong, Han Fei, Jun Wuya, and the others were in despair. That's right, it was despair. The North Demon was too strong. He was so strong that they found it hard to resist him. Up until now, he had only just used his bloodline power. The people of the Full Moon Peak were also in despair. Lin Xian was already so strong, but the North Demon still hadn't used his full strength. It was over. Lin Xian was probably going to lose. He had thought that Lin Xian would be able to defeat the North Beast and take first place, making his name known throughout the Full Moon Peak. But now, it seemed that he could only take second place. Second place wasn't bad. Don't forget that the Full Moon Peak used to be last place. Now that he was in second place, second only to the Misty Peak, it was definitely an earth-shattering achievement. Even the first elder and the peak leader let out a sigh. Indeed, Lin Xian had only cultivated for a short period of time. It was already beyond their expectations that he could fight the North Demon to this extent. In their opinion, Lin Xian could only defeat Han Fei, and not Yu Linglong to take third place. Now that he had surpassed Yu Linglong and taken second place, they were already very happy. After all, Lin Xian had great potential. If he cultivated for another 8 to 10 years, he might really be able to suppress the North Demon. But now he was still a little short. The elders and sky prides of the Divine Tactics Peak and Linglong Peak had the same thought. They felt that Lin Xian's current achievement was enough to make him proud. Lin Xian would be fine, right? Shen Jingqiu was very nervous. The Crimson Dragon's expression was also very calm. He gritted his teeth and said, "Don't worry, this kid also has a trump card that he hasn't used yet. Just wait, these people will definitely piss their pants." The Sky Prides beside him shook their heads. Does he still have a trump card? That's impossible. He had already used the Dragon Sword Soul and 9 Young Divine Body. What other trump cards does Lin Xian have? A half-step sage artifact? It was probably useless against the North Demon's bloodline power. Therefore, in their opinion, the Crimson Dragon was just being stubborn and refusing to admit it. In the sky, Lin Xian heard the discussion of the elders and Sky Prides. Second place? That wasn't what he wanted. Do you think the North Demon is the only one with a trump card? I also have a power that I haven't used yet. Now, I'll show you my true power. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a cold light. On the other side, the Northern Demon's body emitted a misty green light. Green runes appeared on his skin, and his aura skyrocketed. In the sky, the tree of 10,000 demons and the flower of 10,000 demons became even more terrifying. With a boom, the flower of 10,000 demons shattered the sword of annihilation and once again enveloped Lin Xian in an even more powerful manner. It was too powerful. Its power had increased by too much. It shattered the lotus of annihilation formed by the 13 swords. Lin Xian would probably not be able to resist it, unless he also had a heaven-defying bloodline power. Otherwise, this battle would have ended by now. The 4 judging elders shook their heads slightly and prepared to save Lin Xian at any time. It was over. The North Demon looked down at the scene below, and a smile appeared on his face. He had seen how powerful the successor of the great dragon was, and it shocked him. However, the other party was too young. He would only be able to contend against him after cultivating for a few decades, or even 100 years. However, by then, he would have been much further ahead. Countless sighs sounded in the sky. They were the sighs of the elders. As far as they were concerned, this battle was over. However, the estate master was shocked. Something was not right. His eyes shone brightly as he stared at the scene below him. What was going on? The supreme elders behind him were stunned, and so were the rest of the people. Could it be that Lin Xian could turn the tables around? How was that possible? However, they soon saw an unforgettable scene. The flower of 10,000 demons broke the green lotus sword chi and completely enveloped Lin Xian. The battle was about to end. However, at that moment, a fiery red light suddenly appeared and quickly grew bigger. Whoosh! First, it was a small fire. Then, it swept across the sky and completely enveloped the flower of 10,000 demons. Whoosh! Whoosh! The flower of 10,000 demons kept spinning and releasing a terrifying power. The green light shone brightly and slashed in all directions like divine swords. However, the flames this time were not ordinary. They were extremely terrifying and turned into divine dragons that danced in the sky. They shattered all the green light. Chapter 3099. The flower of 10,000 demons was set ablaze. The North monster's eyes widened. How was that possible? He was truly stunned. The judge elder who wanted to save the North monster was also stunned. The elders and sky prides of the 4 peaks were also stunned. Their minds went blank. What was going on? 9 suns' divine flame? How could Lin Xian's flame be so powerful? That was impossible. What did that kid use? Many people screamed like crazy. The peak leaders of the 4 peaks frowned. In the next moment, their eyes shone with a cold light. The full moon peak's peak leader was agitated. It wasn't the 9 suns' divine flame. It was the power of Tao. Everyone went crazy when they heard that. What? The power of Tao? Didn't Lin Xian control the power of annihilation? How could he control the power of fire? Oh heavens! Could it be that he had comprehended 2 powers that were close to Tao? Everyone was stunned. Yu Linglong, Han Fei, and the others were also stunned. They couldn't accept it. How could someone comprehend two powers of law? To be honest, if a young man had comprehended two powers that were close to the Tao, it was simply a joke in their eyes. It wasn't worth hearing at all. But now, they saw it with their own eyes. After using the power of annihilation, Lin Xian used the power of fire. The monstrous flames burned the flower of 10,000 demons. How did he do it? Jun Wuya's body trembled. Han Fei and Yu Linglong's faces turned ugly. As for Huangfu Beitian, He Mo, and the others, they were completely stunned. The power of fire. He had comprehended the Tao of fire. How was that possible? Qing Wu's face turned cold, and her body trembled. The Crimson Dragon grinned. Hee, I told you that this kid still has a trump card, but you didn't listen. Now you're scared to death. Indeed, he knew that Lin Xian had the power of fire. Therefore, although he was worried, he wasn't in despair. Qing Wu also heaved a sigh of relief. Great, Brother Lin Xian is really strong. Amidst the shocked gazes of the crowd, the sword Qi slashed out in all directions, burning the entire forest within 1,000,000 miles. The flower of 10,000 demons was also burned to ashes. Only the tree of 10,000 demons was still floating in the sky. I told you, I won't lose. Lin Xian said coldly as he looked at the North Demon. The North Demon came back to his senses and took a deep breath. His expression became extremely serious. The law of fire? He had never thought that the other party would have comprehended two types of laws. It was no wonder that the other party was not shocked when he saw him use his bloodline power. In fact, he did not even have the urge to dodge. So, this was the other party's trump card. I admit that the power of your bloodline is strong, but it's what attribute after all. On the other hand, I've comprehended the Tao of fire, and with the addition of the great dragon Sword Soul, my bloodline isn't any weaker than yours. You can't win this battle because of your element's suppression. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous. As he spoke, Lin Xian waved his sword Qi, accompanied by the power of fire. It soared into the sky and turned into a divine phoenix burning with flames of desire. Like a divine beast of heaven and earth, he flew forward. In an instant, the tree of 10,000 demons and the North Demon were both affected. The North Demon's armor blocked the flames. Although the tree of 10,000 demons was affected, its vitality was too strong. For a moment, it was not destroyed. It seemed that he could only use that move. Kid, you're strong, but take my strongest attack. The North Demon let out a long roar and released the sea of flames in the sky. He soared into the sky. At the same time, the tree of 10,000 demons in the sky quickly enveloped the North Demon. Buzz. The two collided and combined, causing countless green lights to erupt. The surrounding flames were all suppressed. It was too strong. Although it countered fire, the North Demon was too strong. He seemed to have the intention to counter it. Lin Xian's situation was not good. Yes, although Lin Xian had used the law of fire to suppress the North Demon had fused with the tree of 10,000 demons and used his final trump card. He even blasted the flames in the sky away, causing the people of Ethereal Peak to scream again. They knew that the North Demon would not lose. Did he still have a trump card? The sea of flames around Lin Xian surged like a god born from fire. He looked up at the sky, at the light that was the fusion of the two. Very well. Let me see what your final trump card is. Lin Xian did not attack, nor did he destroy the fusion. He just waited quietly. This scene shocked the elders. Lin Xian was too calm and collected. Could it be that he was really full of confidence? Humph! Don't be arrogant. My brother's final trump card is not something you can block. Qing Wu waved her fist in the distance. In the sky, the North Demon's aura became colder and colder. The tree of 10,000 demons gradually became smaller. In the end, it completely fused with the North Demon. In the next moment, the green light dissipated and the North Demon's figure appeared. This was when everyone saw the North Demon, they were all stunned, because the North Demon now was completely different from before. Previously, the North Demon was slender, and his face was as white as a demon's. He was unusually handsome. But now the North Demon was completely covered. Outside, there was a giant tree with green vines wrapped around it. It held a shield and a giant sword. It was extremely tall, like a tree that had lived for tens of thousands of years. There was only a pair of cold eyes that flickered with stars. It was the North Demon's eyes. The North Demon and the tree of 10,000 demons had completely fused. Everyone swallowed their saliva. Buzz. In the sky, the North Demon raised the giant green sword and slashed down. The green sword light split, opened the heaven and earth, and even the sea of flames was split open, forming a vacuum zone. It actually destroyed the power of fire. Was he going to suppress the North Demon? Lin Xian was in danger. Lin Xian was also shocked. The wood element could actually suppress the fire element. The North Demon was really amazing. But unfortunately, he did not only have the power of fire. He also had the power of annihilation and the dragon sword soul. So he would not lose this battle. Lin Xian rose into the sky. His aura became colder and colder. The two of them faced each other in the sky. After the North Demon fused with the tree of 10,000 demons, he turned into an unbelievable existence. His cold voice rang out. This battle can end now. Receive my strongest attack. Green Sky Dragon Slash. He raised the giant sword in his hand, releasing endless green light. Countless plants grew crazily on the giant sword. They were tens of thousands of miles long. Whoosh, with a biting cold aura. It could crush everything. At this moment, the North Demon had unleashed his power to the extreme. The power that was close to the Tao surrounded it. It was extremely powerful. Was he going to use his ultimate move? Well, I'll let you see my ultimate move. Lin Xian snorted. His eyes shone with a biting cold golden light. A fiery red appeared in his left eye, turning into a fiery red moon that burned rapidly. That was the power of fire. His right eye was pitch black, filled with the power of annihilation. The dragon sword soul in his body roared crazily. Ultimate move, Annihilation Fire Dragon Lotus. Didn't that mean that the North Demon had lost? The #1 position of the House of Prodigy was about to change owners. How could this be? Senior brother Beiyao was actually defeated? I don't believe it. Those from the Misty Peak couldn't accept it. The people of the Full Moon Peak were stunned. Heavens, is this for real? Lin Xian won? I'm not dreaming. Am I? Impossible. How could Big Brother lose? Qing Wu crazily shook her head. She had never thought that a newcomer who had just entered the House of Prodigy for a few months would actually be able to defeat her brother. Did this kid really do it? Shun Jingqiu, on the other hand, clapped her hands and cheered. This was great. Brother Lin Xian was #1. This brat really didn't exceed my expectations. The dark red divine dragon also grinned. Yu Linglong, Han Fei, and the others were dumbfounded. They knew how terrifying the North Demon was. No one could challenge him. But now, the North Demon had been defeated. How powerful was Lin Xian? As for Black Demon, Shui Jiue, and the others, they were completely dumbfounded. Crack, crack, crack. Green light blossomed from the North Demon's body, repairing his injuries. In the next moment, he raised his head and looked forward. I didn't expect you to be able to seriously injure me. I've lost this battle. The North Demon smiled bitterly. Thank you for letting me win. Lin Xian cupped his fists and nodded slightly. However, he was also surprised. That attack just now was not something an invincible king could block at all. Even people like Yu Linglong and Han Fei would probably be reduced to ashes. Even a half-sage would probably be seriously injured. However, the North Demon had actually blocked it. Although he was injured, it wasn't a fatal injury. Moreover, with the powerful vitality of the myriad demon body and the tree of myriad demons, it wouldn't take long for him to recover. The myriad demon body was really terrifying. Lin Xian exclaimed. It was easy for him to defeat the other party, but it would be difficult to kill the other party. Fortunately, this battle didn't have to be a life and death battle, so Lin Xian naturally won. Moreover, the North Demon had also made him recognize him again. Perhaps his next step would be to comprehend the law of wood between heaven and earth. Winner, Full Moon Peak's Lin Xian. The referee elder announced the result. Everyone was shocked again and cheered. With the end of the battle between the two, the entire competition of the House of Prodigy also came to an end. Lin Xian defeated the North Demon and became the #1 in the House of Prodigy, setting a new record. The people of Full Moon Peak screamed crazily, especially those elders. They were simply too excited. For so many years, their Full Moon Peak had been suppressed at the back, mocked, and looked down on by many people. But now, they actually became the #1 in the House of Prodigy. All of this was the glory brought to them by Lin Xian. Therefore, these elders' eyes were red as they looked at Lin Xian. Those eyes made Lin Xian's hair stand. Yi Fei, Xueling, Wang Qi, and the others were completely stunned. When Lin Xian first came, they didn't put Lin Xian in their eyes. But now, a few months later, Lin Xian completely surpassed them and even defeated the North Demon. It was something that they would never be able to do in their lifetime. As for the Black Demon, his body trembled slightly. Fortunately, he apologized and admitted his mistake. Otherwise, if he continued to go against such a person, he wouldn't even know how he died. Huangfu Baiqian's eyes emitted a cold light. The competition this time allowed him to clearly see how terrifying a power that was close to the Tao was. Next, he would go into seclusion with all his strength. He wouldn't come out until he comprehended his own Tao. As for Yu Linglong, Han Fei, and the others, it was needless to say that they were shocked. Whoosh! The house master stood up and pressed his hands down slightly. Countless laws descended, causing everyone to stop talking. Countless pairs of eyes looked up at the sky. Even Lin Xian walked down the stage. He knew that it was time to announce the results and rewards. Thinking of this, he was slightly excited. The Great Path Enlightenment scripture had allowed his understanding of the laws to increase rapidly, now that he was comprehending the former residence of the saint and the place where the great emperor stayed. His understanding of the laws would definitely increase by another level. At that time, his power would also increase rapidly. The house master waved his hand, and countless rays of light gathered between heaven and earth like the Milky Way, hanging upside down in the sky. Everyone saw that it was a huge scroll. The North Demon, who was originally in the first place, dropped to the second place. And in the first place, 2 words appeared again. Lin Xian. Chapter 30, 101. Everyone was extremely excited and envious. They knew that Lin Xian had become the new #1 in the House of Prodigy from today onwards. Second was the North Demon. Third was Yu Linglong. Fourth was Han Fei. And fifth was Jun Wuya. Sixth, Shen Jingqiu. Seventh, Zhong Lingxiu. Eighth, Huangfu Beitian. Ninth, Qin Wu. As for Black Demon and the rest, they were all ranked beyond the top 10. This time, apart from Lin Xian, Shen Jingqiu, and Zhong Lingxiu's performance was too eye-catching. They had forcefully made it to the 6th and 7th places. It could be said that, apart from the power that was close to the Tao, the 2 of them were the strongest. The top 3 could go to the saint's former residence and comprehend for 10 days. The first place had the chance to go to the Cliff of Enlightenment and comprehend for 7 days and 7 nights. Apart from the top 3, The top 10 also had various kinds of treasures, cultivation methods, resources, and abijnas. The rewards from the House of Prodigy would definitely make these geniuses jealous. Lin Xian, the North Demon, and Yu Linglong rested for 3 days before entering the saint's former residence. The saint's former residence was in a very remote place in the House of Prodigy. When Lin Xian and the other two arrived, they were greatly surprised. In their opinion, the saint's former residence should be incomparably grand and majestic. However, it was completely out of their expectations. There was a courtyard on a small hill. It was very simple. There was a bamboo house inside, and a few ancient trees were planted in the courtyard. Other than that, there was nothing else. This was the saint's former residence? Yu Linglong's beautiful eyes widened in disbelief. The North Demon also narrowed his eyes. Su Chen's eyes flickered. Indeed, the appearance was too ordinary. However, under the combination of the heavenly secret god eyes and plenilun seed, he discovered that this place was extremely unusual. There were traces of laws everywhere. In fact, although there were no laws in some places, there was an extremely mysterious aura left behind. Obviously, it was left behind by a saint who had lived here for many years. Gradually, the North Demon and Yu Linglong also discovered the difference. Therefore, the three of them sat down cross-legged and began to comprehend. The courtyard wasn't big, so the distance between the three of them wasn't too far. When Lin Xian's eyes flickered with terrifying runes, Yu Linglong was shocked. What kind of eyes were those? Why were they like the eyes of a god? She looked at those golden eyes, and her soul trembled. The northern monster was also shocked. Who would have thought that other than the great dragon sword spirit and the 9-yang divine body, Lin Xian actually had a pair of mysterious eyes? This pair of eyes seemed to be able to see through everything. No wonder he comprehended it so quickly. The North Beast took a deep breath and activated his bloodline power. He also focused on comprehending. Within his golden eyes, a moon was revolving. The heavenly secret god eyes and the moongazer serpent seed allowed Lin Xian to see everything around him clearly. In addition to his understanding of the scripture of the great Tao realization, Lin Xian had entered a strange state. Just like that, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 10 days passed. A grand elder pushed open the bamboo door and walked in. He said in a low voice, "3 little guys, that's enough. It's time. You won't be able to take it any longer." Hearing this, Yu Linglong opened her eyes and sighed. Comprehending here for a day was equivalent to comprehending for a year in the outside world. She had gained a lot, and her power that was close to the Tao had also improved. The northern monster also stood up. On the other side, Lin Xian also opened his eyes. He exclaimed in his heart, it wasn't just 1 year. 1 day here was equivalent to 10 years in the outside world. Although he had only comprehended here for a short 10 days, the effect was much better than comprehending for 100 years outside. Lin Xian's 2 powers that were close to the Tao had improved once again. Their power was several times stronger than before. If he told others, probably no one would believe him. Even the peak leaders and the grand elders wouldn't believe him. Although this was the former residence of a saint, and 1 year was equivalent to several years in the outside world, it was still heaven-defying for Lin Xian to improve so much. After all, he had the moongazer serpent seed and the heavenly secret god eyes. In addition to the scripture of the great Tao realization, his power had improved by leaps and bounds. Suddenly, he felt someone looking at him. He turned around and saw the northern monster looking at him. Lin Xian grinned. The northern monster narrowed his eyes and was shocked. This kid had become unfathomable again. He wondered how much his power had improved in the past 10 days. A few days ago, he had lost to Lin Xian. He was very unhappy and wanted to fight with Lin Xian again. Of course, now wasn't the time. When his 1,000-monster body improved again, he would come back and defeat Lin Xian in one fell swoop. Since Yu Linglong's strength had increased, she naturally wanted to give it a try as well. However, when she saw Lin Xian and the North Demon, who were like two endless stars, she shook her head and gave up on the idea. Both of them were monsters. The three of them followed the Grand Elder and left the former residence of the saint. You two can go back first. I'll bring him to see the mansion master, the Grand Elder said with a smile. Hearing this, Yu Linglong and the northern monster looked at Lin Xian again. Their eyes were filled with envy. Lin Xian also had 7 days to study the Cliff of Enlightenment. That was even more mysterious than the former residence of the saint. Rumor had it that the Dharch had stayed there for a day. Then I'll take my leave first. Lin Xian nodded at the northern monster and Yu Linglong and followed the Grand Elder into the sky. They flew all the way and landed in a dazzling hall. The Grand Elder opened the door, and Lin Xian walked in. There was an old man in the hall. His back was facing Lin Xian as he flipped through a book. Not far behind him, there was a bronze incense burner. Wisps of green smoke floated out from it. Lin Xian took a breath and felt the blood in his body churning. He was energized. What a magical fragrance! This was definitely a heavenly treasure, and an extremely precious one at that. The mansion master was too extravagant. How terrifying would it be to absorb this fragrance all day? Greetings, mansion master. In the next moment, he looked at the figure in front of him and clenched his fists. Lin Xian, you're here. The voice of the manor lord was like that of an ordinary old man. Lin Xian was astonished, and his eyes narrowed. Recently, his strength had improved by leaps and bounds. His understanding of the laws of heaven and earth had also improved. He could sense that the old man in front of him had already reached the realm of returning to one's original state. Needless to say, the mansion master was definitely an extremely powerful existence among the saints. But how would he compare to Xia Jiuyo? Are you ready? The mansion master said calmly. I'm ready. Lin Xian took a deep breath. That's good. The mansion master turned around and revealed a warm smile. In the next moment, the world changed. He was no longer in the hall, but in the mountains and rivers, spiritual mountains and clear waters. A mountain peak appeared in front of Lin Xian. It was like a sharp sword that pierced through the clouds. It was steep, but the side facing Lin Xian was as smooth as a mirror. It was as if someone had split it open with a sword. On the mountain wall, there were 3 words written in flamboyant calligraphy: Cliff of Enlightenment. Chapter 30, 102. The 3 words sounded ordinary, but upon closer inspection, it was like a soaring dragon. Lin Xian's soul trembled. So powerful. In his left eye, the plenilune seed was also jumping. Lin Xian's eyes shone brightly. This was too magical. This place wasn't simple at all. Other than feeling the aura of many sages and the laws of heaven and earth, there was also an extremely terrifying aura that was above all the sages. This should be the aura of a great emperor, right? How many tens of thousands of years had it been? It was still so powerful. All right, I won't delay you any further. You have 7 days and 7 nights to comprehend here. The mansion master's voice sounded. Then he disappeared into the void. Lin Xian took a deep breath and used the Tianji divine eyes and the plenilune seed to observe the surroundings. He silently chanted the great Tao comprehension scripture and began to comprehend. When he started to comprehend, the extraordinary warrior manor outside had also undergone changes. The North Beast, Yu Linglong, Han Fei, and the others had already left the extraordinary warrior manor and headed towards the ancient starry sky path. This time, they wouldn't be returning for a short period of time. As for the others, such as Huangfu Beitian, Yi Fei, He Mo, and the others, some were preparing to leave, while some continued to stay in the extraordinary warrior manor. For example, Huangfu Beitian stayed in seclusion in the extraordinary warrior manor. If he didn't succeed in comprehending the power that was close to Tao, he wouldn't come out. As for He Mo and Yi Fei, they left the extraordinary warrior manor and stepped onto the ancient starry sky path. They felt that it would be difficult to comprehend if they stayed in the extraordinary warrior manor. Perhaps there would be other opportunities on the ancient starry sky path. Shun Jingqiu was originally at Linglong Peak, waiting for Lin Xian to comprehend. However, the mansion master came to find her today. Linglong Peak's Peak Master came along with him. Linglong Peak's Peak Master was a female sage with great strength. Seniors, why are you looking for Qiu? Shun Jingqiu was very surprised. Linglong Peak smiled and said, Qiu, your opportunity is here. Opportunity? Shun Jingqiu was even more confused. The Peak Master whispered a few words. Shun Jingqiu's beautiful eyes widened in shock. Is it really possible? She asked. Don't worry, I will send you to that place. You will definitely be able to grow quickly. It can even bring your spirit body one step closer. Shun Jingqiu thought about it seriously, then nodded and said, But I have to leave a letter for Lin Xian Gij. No problem. I'll give you 1 day to prepare. After 1 day, come and find me. The Manor Lord and the Linglong Peak Master left. Shun Jingqiu left behind a jade slip sound transmission, then went to the Full Moon Peak to find the Crimson Dragon, and handed this thing to the Crimson Dragon. At the same time, she said, I'm going to a place on the ancient starry sky path to tell Big Brother Lin Xian not to let him worry. We will meet again on the starry sky ancient path in the future. Was the little girl also leaving? The Crimson Dragon was not surprised. Everyone had their own opportunities. Shun Jingqiu's talent was good, and her physique and bloodline were even stronger. Even if she left, there wouldn't be much danger. Moreover, he knew that this should have been arranged by those old monsters in the House of Prodigy. If the Crimson Dragon didn't have the Dragon Clan's inheritance, he would probably leave and search for opportunities alone. After leaving some instructions to the Crimson Dragon, Shun Jingqiu left to find the Manor Lord. The next day, news came from the House of Prodigy that Shun Jingqiu had also entered the ancient starry sky path. Zhong Lingxiu left at night, and so did Qing Wu. The 3 goddesses have all left. What should I do in the future? In the House of Prodigy, the geniuses who stayed were very heartbroken. Qing Wu left with the North Demon. Shun Jingqiu was brought away by the Manor Lord, and Zhong Lingxiu left alone. Cliff of Enlightenment. Lin Xian was in full concentration. 7 days passed quickly. He withdrew from his meditation, and a sigh appeared in his eyes. Am I leaving? To be honest, this place was much more mysterious than the previous residence of the saint. In 7 days, Lin Xian's strength increased again. Although his cultivation did not increase, the power that was close to the Tao became more powerful. He even comprehended the law of fire and used this power to cultivate the 9 yang divine body. His 9 yang divine body finally improved again. Its power had completely surpassed that of an invincible king, but he hadn't reached the saint level yet. It could be said that he was now a half-saint. Finally, after endless cultivation and battles, Lin Xian cultivated the 9 yang divine body to this level. Ordinary divine abilities and martial arts couldn't hurt him at all. Now, except for the law of fire, his physique was not inferior to a half-saint's at all. If I stand still and let Huangfu Beitian hit me, he probably won't be able to break through my defense. Jun Wuya and Han Fei are no match for me. Even you, Linglong, I have the confidence to defeat her in 1 move. Lin Xian was full of confidence now. Even if he faced the North Demon, he was confident that he could defeat him with just 1 law of fire. Of course, he knew that the North Demon couldn't be stagnant forever. He must have other opportunities, and his strength increased by leaps and bounds. However, it was impossible for the North Demon to defeat him. It's time to go back. I wonder how Qiu and the others are doing? Lin Xian left the Cliff of Enlightenment and returned to Full Moon Peak. Full Moon Peak. Lin Xian's courtyard was surrounded by array formations. Suddenly, the clouds churned and a figure descended. Inside, the Crimson Dragon immediately opened his eyes and flew over. "Kid, you're back." When he saw Lin Xian, his body trembled, and a biting cold light burst out from his dragon eyes. "What the heavens, what kind of aura is that?" He retreated with a whoosh, his heart filled with shock, because he could feel that Lin Xian's aura was even more mysterious, and it carried a very dangerous feeling. This aura was much stronger than before. "Damn it, you're still here. You've only been away for less than a month. How did your strength change so much?" The Crimson Dragon was shocked. Lin Xian said with a smile, "Although it was less than a month, that place was incomparably mysterious. 1 day was equivalent to 10 years outside. I'm so envious." The Crimson Dragon's eyes were red. No, Ben Huang had to quickly comprehend the power of laws. He had already obtained a copy of the Scripture of Enlightenment from Lin Xian. When Shen Jingqiu left, he also gave her a copy. However, he had been waiting for Lin Xian, so he didn't go into seclusion to cultivate. Now that Lin Xian was back, he could go into seclusion to cultivate. Of course, before that, he still explained the current situation of Shen Jingqiu and the entire Extraordinary Warriors' residence. Lin Xian was shocked when he heard that. Qiu left? However, that was good, with the Mansion Masters team taking care of her. And with Qiu Er's talent, her strength shouldn't be a problem. Previously, Lin Xian was still a little worried about this little girl. However, after a few battles, it seemed like Qiu Er could already hold her own. At the same time, he knew that the North Demon, Yu Linglong, Han Fei, and the rest had all left the Extraordinary Warriors' residence and stepped onto the ancient Starry Sky path. There weren't many people left in the Extraordinary Warriors' residence. The ancient Starry Sky path. Lin Xian took a deep breath. He was finally going to step onto the path to becoming an emperor. Chapter 30-103. He knew that this trip wouldn't be the same as before. He probably wouldn't be back for a while. "Kid, are you leaving?" the Crimson Dragon asked. Lin Xian nodded. "But there's no hurry. I'll stay here for a month or two to consolidate my strength. I'll go after that." "All right then. Ben Huang will go into the Black Earth and cultivate in seclusion." The Crimson Dragon took the Tao comprehension and entered the Black Earth. Lin Xian sat down cross-legged and began to consolidate his strength. A month later, Lin Xian had completely consolidated his strength. Next, he didn't go on his way immediately. Instead, he entered the mysterious world of the small sword in his body. When he saw the illusionary divine furnace again, Lin Xian's eyes lit up. The illusionary divine furnace was a treasure that he had obtained in Sky Flame City. He had swallowed one of the pills in it previously, and his strength had increased tremendously. Not only him, but the Crimson Dragon Shen Jingqiu and Murong Qingsheng had also increased their strength. Lin Xian knew that the illusionary divine furnace couldn't have only these few items. There must be other treasures. Therefore, he wanted to take advantage of the increase in his strength to explore it again. Taking a deep breath, Lin Xian's eyes shone brightly. The power of annihilation in his left eye exploded and turned into a divine chain that hooked onto one side of the illusionary divine furnace. The power of flames flew out from his right eye and turned into a scarlet chain that hooked onto the other side of the illusionary divine furnace. "Open!" Lin Xian roared. Boom, boom, boom. The top of the illusionary divine furnace slowly opened, revealing a small gap. Seeing this, Lin Xian was overjoyed. Indeed, his strength had increased, and he could open the illusionary divine furnace. However, when he looked inside, he still frowned slightly. He still couldn't see clearly what was inside the illusionary divine furnace. He could only wait for the treasure to float out. Buzz. Not long after, a light flashed and floated out from the illusionary divine furnace floating in the sky. Lin Xian waved his hand and grabbed him. In the next moment, he looked surprised. It wasn't a medicinal pill, nor was it a magical treasure, but rather a jade slip. It was extremely ancient, and there were traces of time left behind on it. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The illusionary divine furnace healed once again, and the two forces disappeared. Lin Xian retreated with the jade slip. What was that? He held the jade slip in his hand. The pill sage's notes. Seeing this, Lin Xian was extremely surprised. He also knew how to concoct pills. It could be said that he was very proficient in it. However, as his cultivation increased, his alchemy skills were gradually unable to support him. After all, in the future, Lin Xian would have to take half-saint or even saint-level pills. But with what Lin Xian learned now, he simply could not refine that kind of medicinal pill. However, he did not expect that the search for the void divine furnace this time would actually give him an unexpected surprise. The Alchemy Saint's notes. Needless to say, this should be the experiences recorded by the ancient alchemy masters. After comprehending the scripture of the Great Path insight, Lin Xian knew how precious these saints' records were. Just a little bit could give him endless inspiration and save him hundreds of years of detours. Therefore, Lin Xian could not wait to open it and flip through it. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. For a full 5 days, Lin Xian read it. 5 days later, Lin Xian raised his head, extremely excited. It was not recorded by one alchemy saint, but by a total of 5 alchemy saints. Of the 5 alchemy saints, one was a half-saint, and the other 4 were all saint-level. The medicinal pills they refined were also very useful for the sage realm. Moreover, not only were there the insights of these sages, but there were also many pill formulas in it. These pills could increase one's cultivation, break through obstacles, repair the body, repair the soul, and enhance the soul. In short, it could be said to be very comprehensive. Moreover, Lin Xian even felt that these might be some extinct pill formulas. Immediately, Lin Xian's heart beat wildly. Among them, he also found a kind of medicinal pill called the Breakthrough Saint Pill. It was very famous in ancient times. It could shorten the time for invincible kings to break through to the sage realm. Moreover, after eating this kind of medicinal pill, the success rate of invincible kings breaking through to the half-saint realm would also be greatly increased. This is it. Lin Xian's eyes lit up. He was now at the middle 9-star stage and was very close to breaking through to the half-saint realm. However, it was not so easy to break through to the half-saint realm. Therefore, even he did not have much confidence in his heart. But now, with this Breakthrough Saint Pill, it was different. As long as he could refine the Breakthrough Saint Pill, then he had 100% confidence that he could become a half-saint. Next, Lin Xian carefully studied the Breakthrough Saint Pill. But soon, he revealed a strange look. Because the Breakthrough Saint Pill required too many materials. There were more than 1,000 kinds, and many spiritual herbs were extinct. It was estimated that there were none in the true spirit world. But thinking about it, if such a precious medicinal pill was placed in the true spirit world, the various remote antiquity families and sacred grounds would probably fight for it. However, Lin Xian was not worried, because he was about to step on the ancient road of the stars and set foot on the myriad worlds. Not having it in the true spirit world did not mean that other worlds did not have it. Therefore, Lin Xian memorized all the materials needed for the Breakthrough Saint Pill. Then, he prepared to step on the ancient road of the stars and search for them one by one in the future. Anyway, there was still some time before he broke through. It was enough for him to prepare. In addition to the Breakthrough Saint Pill, some of the notes inside were also very helpful for Lin Xian to improve his alchemy Tao. Therefore, in the next 3 months, Lin Xian was still comprehending with all his strength. Half a year later, Lin Xian finally came out of seclusion. His alchemy Dao had improved rapidly. Although Lin Xian did not spar with other alchemy masters, Lin Xian estimated that there were not many who were better than him, unless it was those real alchemy saints. Putting away the alchemy saints' notes, Lin Xian entered the Black Earth and found that the Crimson Dragon was still in seclusion. He was not worried about this. The Crimson Dragon had rich experience, and he also had the inheritance of the Dragon clan. When he came out of seclusion again, his strength would definitely improve by leaps and bounds. Therefore, he exited the Black Earth and prepared to leave the extraordinary Scholar Mansion and step on the ancient road of the stars. After finding the Great Elder, Lin Xian explained his intention. After hearing this, the Great Elder nodded slightly. The Mansion Master and Peak Master have already told me that they gave you 2 things. With that, the Great Elder took out the items. Lin Xian found that one of them was the token of the Extraordinary Scholar Mansion. The Great Elder said, "This token of the Extraordinary Scholar Mansion represents your identity. Apart from some Supreme Elders and Peak Masters, I'm afraid only you have it. This is also your reward for winning first place this time." Seeing that Lin Xian was a little puzzled, the Great Elder explained that this was not the first time the ancient road of the stars was opened. It had existed for countless years. Our Extraordinary Scholar Mansion has also existed for a long time. Among them, it was unknown how many geniuses left from the Extraordinary Scholar Mansion. They stepped on the ancient road of the stars, although they did not become great emperors in the end. However, quite a few people had gone far away. Some people's strength increased greatly, and their prestige shook the heavens. Some people fell and ended in darkness, and some people survived in other worlds. Chapter 30, 104. In short, every single one of them had different encounters and lives, whereas some of these people had already grown into overlords of an area, and they'd suppressed and ruled over a world or even a few worlds. Therefore, in the future, if you meet those elites from the House of Prodigy, take out this token, and they will provide you with help. Lin Xian was shocked as he silently put away the token. He knew that the ancient starry sky path was a cruel path. There was only one person who could succeed in the end. However, there were still countless geniuses who did not care about the consequences and continued to advance. Besides everyone wanting to become a great emperor, there were other reasons. For example, after tempering on the ancient starry sky path, one's strength would increase much faster than in other places. Even if one couldn't become a great emperor in the end, there was still a high chance of becoming a sage. Some people even felt that their strength had increased greatly and left the ancient starry sky path. It could be said that this was a path of tempering. One didn't have to walk to the end. Of course, Lin Xian's goal was the end of the ancient starry sky path. The second thing is for you from the Peak Master. This is a spirit boat. It will allow you to fly in the void universe. Hearing this, Lin Xian's eyes lit up, revealing a look of joy. He was lacking such an item. This was because the Great Elder had taken him to the outer realm of the starry sky before. He knew about the astral winds and the terrifying energy outside. Without a suitable spirit boat, one wouldn't be able to travel far. After receiving the spirit boat, Lin Xian imprinted his soul imprint on it. He cupped his fists and thanked the House of Prodigy, Peak Master, and Great Elder. Looking at the young man in front of him, the Great Elder revealed a gratified smile. This was the first in the House of Prodigy. He could even suppress the North Demon. Who knew what kind of giant he would become after hundreds or thousands of years? Taking a deep breath, the Great Elder said in a deep voice, "Lastly, I have to remind you that stepping on the ancient starry sky path means that you have embarked on a very cruel path. On this path, you can't be weak. You must have a firm will and fierce means to survive. Lastly, the end point isn't something that everyone has to reach. It's not a bad choice to stop, and find the most suitable place for yourself. Lastly, I wish you the best on your own path. Thank you, Great Elder, for your reminder. Junior will keep it in mind. Lin Xian bowed, respectfully. He knew that the Great Elder's words would be very helpful to him when he embarked on the ancient path of the starry sky in the future. Next, Lin Xian bade farewell to the first elder and soared into the sky, leaving the outstanding scholar manor. With a wave of his hand, the spirit boat in his hand expanded to several 100 feet long and floated in the air. Lin Xian's figure flickered as he entered the spirit boat. He threw out a few divine crystals, and the spirit boat tore through the void and soared into the sky. Looking at the gradually blurring scenery below, Lin Xian's heart was filled with emotion. Who knew when he would be able to return? In the endless starry universe, a streak of blue light tore through the void and flew rapidly into the distance. Inside the spirit boat, a red-robed youth stood with his hands behind his back. He looked at the vast universe outside the window and seemed to be lost in thought. This red-clothed youth was none other than Lin Xian. At this moment, it had already been 10 days since he left the house of outstanding scholars. He had spent these 10 days in the spirit boat. This spirit boat was very fast and very convenient. Lin Xian soon became proficient in controlling it. He had some information that the Great Elder had given him regarding the ancient path of the starry sky. The so-called ancient path of the starry sky was a path created by ancient sage experts and even great emperors. Lin Xian had already understood that the entire universe was made up of thousands of worlds. However, it was divided into many star fields and forces. It was very complicated, and many times more complicated and dangerous than the true spirit world. Lin Xian was going to the cloud returning planet this time. It was a relatively large planet in the vicinity. Among them, the true spirit world, the hero planet, the Sirius planet, and a few other star fields would almost always have their first battle on the cloud returning planet. Therefore, the cloud returning planet was very prosperous. Martial arts flourished, and all kinds of precious and extinct materials often appeared. They might not be able to find them in their own world, but that might not be the case on the cloud returning planet. Many people even specially went to the cloud returning planet to search for treasures. Lin Xian also planned to take a look on the planet. Firstly, he wanted to find the materials for the breakthrough pill. Secondly, he wanted a good pill furnace. These days, he had not been idle in the spirit boat. Instead, he had refined several furnaces of pills. These furnaces of pills were for his current 9-star King Realm. About 5 days later, Lin Xian stood up and looked at the gigantic star in the distance with sparkling eyes. He knew that the cloud returning planet was right in front of him. He activated the spirit boat and rushed towards it. As they descended, the surrounding astral winds kept blowing and slamming against the spirit boat. The spirit boat activated its array formation to block these astral winds so that Lin Xian did not have to pay too much attention. After finally dodging the astral winds and arriving in the sky, Lin Xian put away the spirit boat. He looked down, his eyes flashing. Below, there were many cities with dense spirit chi. It was not inferior to the true spirit world. Of course, their true spirit world had a special meaning in the entire universe. No one could compare to it. However, on the ancient star road, meaning did not seem to be important. Therefore, Lin Xian did not intend to reveal his true identity. His eyes flashing, Lin Xian sent out his soul spirit. He identified a direction and flew into the distance. 2 days later, he encountered something. Someone was robbing him in front. The person being robbed was a young man. He had an ordinary face and an early-stage 9-star cultivation base. However, there were 2 mid-stage 9-star cultivators. Therefore, the ordinary-looking young man complained and kept running. Finally, he met Lin Xian. "Brother, Run. The young man who was running did not seem to expect that there was someone in front of him and immediately warned him. Lin Xian was slightly stunned. It seemed that this person was quite kind and did not want to implicate him. He even specially changed the direction of his escape for this reason. Too kind. Before Lin Xian came, he heard from the Grand Elder that one had to be ruthless to survive on the ancient Star Road. He did not expect to meet such a kind person as soon as he came to the cloud returning planet. People like that were very rare, and Lin Xian was tempted to save them. In front of him, the two mid-stage 9-star cultivators saw Lin Xian and immediately snorted, "Kid, get lost. Since you don't want to get lost, stay." A ray of light slashed over with piercing cold runes, shattering the void. Humph! Lin Xian snorted coldly. He did not take a mere mid-stage 9-star cultivator seriously. Although the other party was a cultivator of the same level as him, they were no different from ants in his eyes. He reached out his palm and directly grabbed in front of him. Crack! He directly smashed that ray of sword chi. What? How can he be so strong? The king who attacked was stunned. He did not expect Lin Xian to be an expert. What a strong physique. Could he be a genius of the Northern Big Dipper sect? Otherwise, the Blood River sect people would not have dared to kill him. Fong Hao was going to the Great Armor City to meet someone. This woman was his fiancée, but Fong Hao had not seen her for many years. It was said that the marriage was set by the elders of both parties. However, Fong Hao's Dipper sect had declined over the years. Therefore, the two parties had not met much. Lin Xian was not surprised. The four great clans used this kind of soul to strengthen the relationship and interest between each other. Perhaps this was something that was common across the myriad of worlds. Therefore, he did not pay much attention to it. The two flew for about 6 days and arrived at the Great Armor City. Before they reached the city, the number of martial artists in the surroundings had gradually increased. There were people everywhere, from the spirit-detecting realm to the venerables and kings. Lin Xian even saw many invincible kings. Fong Hao said that the Great Armor City was a city of trade. Countless clans and forces gathered here, as well as experts and geniuses. Brother Lin, the materials that you want can be found here. Lin Xian nodded, and the two walked into the Great Armor City. The Great Armor City was even more bustling. The Wind Pavilion. It was a very artistic place in the Great Armor City. The entire Wind Pavilion was enveloped by a huge formation that condensed rich spirit chi. It was decorated with spiritual mountains and beautiful rivers. There were even many cute spiritual beasts running around. Here, one could not only enjoy the rich spirit chi, admire the beautiful scenery, but also taste spiritual tea. The spiritual tea here was very famous in the entire Great Armor City. Therefore, some disciples of the great clans liked to drink spiritual tea and chat in the Wind Pavilion when they had nothing to do. At this moment, there were a few young men and women sitting at a table near the artificial mountain and the spiritual spring. They were surrounded by beautiful maids who were serving them. Each of them had a cup of spiritual tea in front of them. This spiritual tea was not simple. It was estimated that those who were not rich could not afford to drink this cup. However, looking at these men and women who did not seem to care, one could imagine that they were from the great clans or disciples of the great sections. At this moment, there were a few beautiful girls at the table. One of them was dressed in purple. She had a beautiful face, but her eyes were still full of arrogance. She grabbed the blue-clothed woman beside her and quickly asked, "Ching Ching, you seem to be absent-minded. You seem to have something on your mind. What is it that you can't tell your sister?" "Hi, you. Isn't that the girl I told you about?" "She's called Ching Ching. She's also very beautiful." However, there was a trace of sadness between her brows at this moment. "What? No way? Are you talking about the marriage agreement that your clan made for you?" The girl called Hai Yu snorted coldly. You're not really going to marry that trash, are you? Who said that I'm going to marry him? It's just that my clan wants me to meet him today. Ching Ching shook her head. Hai Yu sneered. What's there to meet? How long has that guy been cultivating? He's still a 9-star beginner? Someone like him seems to have good talent, but that's only for ordinary people. To the great clans like us, he's not enough. With his talent, he'll probably reach the end of his cultivation in this lifetime. But you're different. You're so young and so talented. In a few decades or 100 years, your cultivation will far surpass his. When that time comes, do you think that a man like him is worthy of you? Hai Yu said coquettishly. The man I found is a genius of the Big Dipper sect. At this point, Hai Yu's eyes were filled with a trace of pride. The clothes she was wearing were very luxurious, and the jade pendant necklace she was wearing was a defensive magic treasure. Needless to say, she was also a disciple of a great clan. Beside the two of them sat a girl. She was dressed in black and had been quietly listening to them. She did not seem to like talking. At this moment, two figures walked in from outside the wind pavilion. They were Lin Xian and Fong Hao. Chapter 3106. Fong Hao said to Lin Xian apologetically, Brother Lin, I'm sorry to have to make you come with me. But don't worry, I don't think there's much chance of us meeting this time. I'll come out soon. When the time comes, I'll accompany you to look for those spiritual herbs. It's okay. Lin Xian shrugged. Since they were already in Giant Armor City, it wouldn't matter if they stayed a little longer. Moreover, he saw that Fong Hao was very honest and he was worth making friends with. At least, he would be reliable to ask for help in finding spiritual herbs. The two walked into the wind pavilion. Inside, Hai Yu, Ching Ching, and the others were still discussing. At this moment, they raised their eyebrows and looked into the distance. Two figures were coming from afar. When they saw the two of them, the three of them had different looks in their eyes. Among them, there was a trace of resistance in Ching Ching's eyes, but she concealed it very well. Hai Yu, on the other hand, had a condescending arrogance and did not hide it at all. Fong Hao arrived, but before he could speak, he was interrupted by Hai Yu. You're that Fong Hao, right? You want to marry Ching Ching? Are you kidding me? What's Ching Ching's status? What's your status? What's your talent? Don't you know? How dare you come here? As soon as she said this, Fong Hao's face instantly turned red and his eyes dimmed. Lin Xian, who was next to him, also frowned. It seemed that this meeting was not going to be easy. Fong Hao was an early 9-star king, and he was indeed a strong person outside. However, in the era of geniuses, he was indeed not strong enough. However, the aggressive look of this blue-clothed girl in front of him made Lin Xian very unhappy. At this moment, Hai Yu continued to mock him. It's fine that your cultivation is weak, but you don't even have a decent treasure on you. As she said this, she proudly shook the bracelet on her left hand. This was a very precious defensive treasure. There were a total of 6 Buddha beads, and each bead was a layer of defense. When the 6 treasures attacked together, they could withstand the full force attack of a late-stage 9-star expert. In addition to this bracelet, the jade pendant and necklace on her were also the same. Even the pair of earrings had an extremely strong vitality. Obviously, it was a wood-type magical treasure. Presumably, when he was injured, the earrings could provide him with powerful spiritual energy, allowing him to recover quickly. On the other hand, Fong Hao's clothes were indeed simple and plain. Apart from an inner armor, there were not many treasures that could be taken out. You've misunderstood. I have no intention of marrying Miss Ching Ching. Fong Hao hurriedly shook his head. Hai Yu sneered. He had no intention of marrying Ching Ching? Then what are you doing here? This is not a place you can come to. Hurry up and leave. Why don't you take a look at yourself? Can you afford the spirit tea here? Hai Yu was extremely arrogant. The woman in black beside her frowned slightly. Even Ching Ching tugged at Hai Yu's sleeve, telling her to stop. Hai Yu coldly snorted. For Ching Ching's sake, I'll give you a chance. Hurry and leave. Brother Lin, I'm sorry for letting you see such a joke. Fong Hao's face was extremely ugly. Lin Xian shook his head. It was nothing. Now that we have understood the situation here, let's go. That's right. Apart from the fact that the spirit herbs I want are all rare, there is also a requirement for their age. They must be at least 5,000 years old, preferably 7 or 8,000 years old. Of course, if the red spirit herb and man leaf flower are not that old, it doesn't matter. I want them all. Don't worry, Brother Lin, I will do my best to find them for you. Hearing the conversation between Lin Xian and Fong Hao, Hai Yu and the rest were stunned. Even the surrounding martial artists were whispering to each other. After all, although there were many spirit herbs that were 5,000 years old and above were rare, they could even be called little herb kings. One had to know that invincible kings only lived for a few years. A spirit herb that was older than them was definitely incomparably precious, especially the red spirit herb and man leaf flower. Many people had never heard of them. Those who knew were also shocked. These were two extremely precious herbs. They could be said to be extremely rare and had already gone extinct in many star worlds. Even if they were here, they were not easy to find. Hai Yu, Ching Ching, and the rest naturally knew about this. After hearing this, Hai Yu sneered. You want to find a herb king that was 5,000 years old and above? You want the red spirit herb and man leaf flower? Why don't you take a look at your wealth? Even she might not be able to afford these things, let alone the two in front of her. Although she did not know Lin Xian, she knew that he was walking with Fong Hao. What kind of famous genius could he be? He must be a piece of trash. So from the beginning to the end, she did not put Lin Xian in her eyes. In her opinion, these two guys must be pretending to be rich and powerful in front of her. Even Ching Ching, who was beside her, frowned. She originally thought that Fong Hao was an honest person, but now it seemed that he was not. He obviously could not afford a herb king that was 5,000 years old and above, let alone the red spirit herb and man leaf flower. Why did he have to pretend to be searching for them? It was really disappointing. Hearing this, Lin Xian's eyes darkened, and a touch of coldness appeared in his eyes. Ignorant, he said indifferently. To be honest, people like Hai Yu and Ching Ching were definitely geniuses in the eyes of ordinary kings. They had noble statuses and could not be provoked. But in Lin Xian's eyes, they were no different from ants. He was the number one in the House of Prodigy. The descendant of the great dragon, he had comprehended two powers that were close to the Tao. In terms of status, he far surpassed the other party. However, the other party was too trash and could not see through his strength. Seeing Lin Xian's gloomy face, Fong Hao said apologetically, I'm sorry, Brother Lin. You were implicated. Let's go. Lin Xian nodded slightly. For Fong Hao's sake, he would spare the other party's life. Otherwise, the two of them turned and left. At this moment, Hai Yu flipped her palm and took out a small disc array. She flipped it in her hand. A voice floated out. Hai Yu said happily, one gong, and the others are here. Let's go out. With that, Hai Yu and the other two also walked out. Soon Lin Xian, Hai Yu, and the others left the Wind Whisper Pavilion almost at the same time. Outside the Wind Whisper Pavilion stood a few figures. Their auras were unusually strong, especially the leader. He had a stocky build and was full of masculine aura. His aura was so oppressive that the air rumbled. Everyone's blood boiled, and they could not breathe. No one dared to approach. After Fong Hao came out and felt this aura, his face changed and became incomparably pale. Lin Xian glanced at him and no longer paid attention. late-stage 9-star with a strong physique. The other party should be a close combat expert. He estimated that the other party had about 30 to 40,000 units of Archean power. Such a person, in the true spirit world, would be stronger than most saints and saintesses. But in Lin Xian's eyes, he could not even withstand a single blow. In fact, the other party couldn't even withstand a single finger from him. He was not interested in such a person. Chapter 30:107. However, to be able to find such a genius on the streets, it could be said that the cloud-returning planet's martial path was indeed prosperous. If the 10,000 ancient races were not included, it had already surpassed the human race of the true spirit world. Lin Xian ignored him and prepared to leave. However, at this moment, a joyful voice came from behind. "Wangong, you're here." Immediately after, Lin Xian saw Hai Yu throw herself into the arms of a burly man in front of her. Qingqing and another black-clothed woman also walked over. There were also many people around Wangong. There were men and women, but without exception, they were all outstanding, wearing luxurious clothes and wearing many treasures. Needless to say, these were either geniuses or disciples of large families or sections. "Why haven't you left yet?" Hai Yu stood up from Wangong's arms and glanced at Fang Hao and Lin Xian with deep disdain in her eyes. Who were these people? Wangong glanced at Lin Xian and Fang Hao before retracting his gaze. Fang Hao was an early 9-star person. He did not take him seriously at all. Although he could not see the depth of the red-clothed youth next to him, he should not be a genius. Therefore, he also had a hint of disdain. The two of them? Hai Yu's lips curled into a sneer as she looked at Fang Hao and said that he was here to see Qingqing. A toad actually wants to eat swan meat? What a joke! As for this kid, he should be Fang Hao's companion. Here to see Qingqing? As expected, he was courting death. The surrounding cultivators all laughed. Wangong even snorted coldly. He looked at Qingqing with a hint of fire in his eyes. However, he managed to control it very well. He knew that this Qingqing was not simple. She was the little princess of a large family. He had once wanted to take her, but he could not succeed at all. Now, an early 9-star person actually dared to have designs on Qingqing. He was really courting death. Oh, right. These two people also said that they would vigorously search for 5,000-year-old king herbs. He also wanted to find the red velvet flower and the vine leaf flower. Hai Yu said in a delicate voice, "What?" As soon as these words came out, these young cultivators were all stunned. Then, one by one, they bent over in laughter. With just the two of them? You want a 5,000-year-old king of medicine, red spirit grass, and man leaf flower? I'm dying of laughter. Where did these two brothers come from? This was too aggressive. Wangong was also stunned. Then he grinned. It seemed that not only were their cultivations weak, they were also brainless idiots. Hai Yu coldly snorted and wanted to drive the two away, but Wangong stopped her. Wangong looked at Fang Hao and Lin Xian and said with a smile, "It seems that the two of you are looking for spiritual herbs. It just so happens that I also wanted to go to the 10,000 herb hall. Why don't we go together?" Hearing this, Hai Yu was also stunned. What was going on? Wangong wanted to help them? However, when he saw Wangong's expression, he immediately understood what Wangong was thinking. It seemed that Wangong wanted to tease these two people. The young martial artists around him also knew about this and immediately started cheering. "Brat, with just the two of you, who knows how long it will take you? Just follow our brother Wan. Our brother Wan is a genius. He knows people in the 10,000 herb hall and can give you a discount." Hearing this, Qingqing was also stunned. She naturally knew what the other party was thinking, so she quickly shook her head. Fang Hao glanced at Lin Xian and asked for his opinion. Lin Xian nodded slightly. "Okay, thank you very much." He naturally knew what the other party was up to. However, At his level of strength, he did not care at all. What he wanted now was those spiritual herbs. No matter what method he used, he had to collect all of them to refine the Saint Breakthrough Pill. Hayu sneered. These two really did not know what was good for them. Wangong also smiled proudly. Later, he would properly intimidate the other party and show his strength. He would let these two know what it meant to be a toad lusting after a swan's meat. Others wanted to get a woman that he could not get. What a joke! Ching Ching also sighed. She was already in despair and did not plan to help the two of them anymore. On the other hand, the girl in black looked at Lin Xian with a trace of curiosity in her eyes. This was because she realized that Lin Xian's expression was very indifferent from the beginning to the end. It was as if he did not care about them or Wangong and the others. Did this guy have something to rely on? She did not know. However, she had seen people with such an expression. They were either peerless figures who ruled over a region or idiots. She did not know what kind of person he was. Therefore, she was very curious and wanted to follow and take a look. Let's go. With a wave of his hand, Wangong led the group away in a grandiose manner. The 10,000 Herb Hall was very famous. It could be ranked in the top 3 among the spiritual medicine halls in Giant Armor City. It was said that there was a mysterious force behind the 10,000 Herb Hall. When it first opened, it was attacked by many parties, but in the end, it was successfully built. Moreover, it became bigger and bigger. The original big families and big forces in the city did not dare to provoke it anymore. Lin Xian was also looking forward to such a place. Refining the Saint Breakthrough Pill required 1,300 types of spiritual medicine. Lin Xian was able to gather 300 types, and he would need to collect the remaining 1,000 types. Therefore, Lin Xian would not let go of any possibility. The 10,000 Herb Hall was located in the north of the city. It was a very magnificent and huge hall. At the door, there were 2 white jade rabbits carved from wood tooth crystals. They were lifelike, and each of them was like a small mountain. They exuded a strong spiritual qi and suppressed the front. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes slightly. He realized that these 2 white jade rabbits were not just decorations, but the center of 2 formations. The entire 10,000 Herb Hall was wrapped in a huge formation. There were no less than 10 defensive and offensive formations. Of course, ordinary people could not see it. They only knew that the spiritual qi here was abundant, and there was always a sense of danger hanging in their hearts. However, given how powerful Lin Xian was, there was no way any formation could hide from his divine ability. So it was young Master Wan. Please come in. At the front, after Wangong arrived, someone from the 10,000 Herb Hall came to welcome him. This scene immediately attracted the attention of the surrounding martial artists. Wangong laughed loudly and walked in with large strides. Hayu snuggled up to him, looking very dignified. Look, this is a real powerhouse. He was respected everywhere he went. The young martial artists and geniuses behind him also followed. Fang Hao looked at this scene and was extremely shocked. He naturally knew about the 10,000 Herb Hall. Ordinary people did not dare to be presumptuous here. It was said that even famous powerhouses did not dare to mess around here. Moreover, if one wanted to become the other party's VIP, one had to be extremely wealthy and have an extremely high status. Who would have thought that this Wangong was also a distinguished guest? Therefore, he smiled bitterly and said carefully, "Brother Lin, that Wangong is not simple. We'd better not provoke him." "Oh, why?" Lin Xian asked indifferently. Fang Hao said, "As far as I know, Wangong should be a genius powerhouse from the Big Dipper sect. His Big Dipper physique is very strong. Although he is a late-stage 9-star, his physique is definitely comparable to a peak 9-star. Moreover, he is also a member of the Wan family. It seems that his status in the Wan family is not low. Otherwise, he would not be treated as a VIP by the 10,000 Herb Hall." Chapter 30. 108. Lin Xian nodded slightly after hearing this, but he didn't care in his heart. Not to mention Wan Gong, he didn't even put the Heavenly Dipper sect in his eyes. What's more, it was a small disciple of the Heavenly Dipper sect. After entering, even someone like Qingqing Hai Wei was greatly shocked. The surrounding stalks of spiritual herbs emitted a strong medicinal fragrance. The age and price of the herbs were written on them, causing even these people to be greatly astonished. Too expensive. Some spirit herbs required a small portion of their wealth. There were even some that they couldn't afford, even if they sold all of their wealth. I want a 5,000-year-old ink spirit flower. After Wan Gong entered, he said loudly. His voice was so loud that the surrounding martial artists heard it. Immediately, shocked and envious gazes were cast over. A 5,000-year-old ink spirit flower. Heavens! Although the ink spirit flower wasn't particularly precious, but 5,000 years was already considered a little medicine king. The price was also very shocking. Who was this? He was actually so generous. Looking at his physique, it was so strong. He should be from the Heavenly Dipper sect or the Dragon Tiger sect. Hearing the shocked and envious discussions of the surrounding people, Wan Gong stood with his hands behind his back. Beside him, Haiyu was so excited that she was trembling. This feeling of being the center of attention was really too good. Qingqing and the woman in black were also surprised. They didn't expect Wan Gong to actually want to buy the little medicine king. Even the people who came with Wan Gong cried out in surprise. No way, Brother Wan. You actually came this time to buy the little medicine king. Brother Wan, you're really generous. Yes, I also want to buy a few stalks of spirit herbs. But compared to Brother Wan, I'm really far behind. After the middle-aged man in charge of receiving heard this, he was also stunned. Then he smiled and said, Young Master Wan, please wait a moment. Let's go to the VIP room first. He brought Wan Gong and the others to a luxurious room, served them spirit tea, and then quickly left. Soon, the door opened again. Other than the middle-aged man from before, there were 3 other people. Among them, there were 2 old men and a beautiful woman. The 2 old men wore white robes and had aged faces, but their eyes were incomparably sharp. Seeing these 2 old men, Qingqing Haiyu, and the others were shocked. They knew that these 2 old men were very famous and belonged to the category of spirit medicine appraisers. The spirit herbs they appraised could be said to be 100% authentic. Even if there was an error in the age, it would not exceed 10 years. Therefore, these martial artists could buy the spirit herbs that had been appraised by these 2 people without any worries. When they saw the young woman, they were immediately stunned. Even Wan Gong was stunned. In the next moment, he hurriedly stood up. The bright girl was about 30 years old. She had red lips and white teeth. She was very beautiful, and her body was filled with spiritual energy. As he walked, there was a strange fragrance of flowers. Madame Hua, I didn't expect you to come as well. Wan Gong hurriedly cupped his fists and said. The others were equally shocked. Feng Hao was even more surprised. What? Madame Hua was here too? This one gang's face was too big, right? Lin Xian asked from the side. Who was this person? Madame Hua was the shopkeeper of the 10,000 herb hall on the surface. Her status could be said to be very noble. He didn't expect her to come as well. It should be, because Wan Gong bought the little herb king. Lin Xian nodded slightly and didn't care. He glanced at the other party. This Madame Hua had a beautiful face, but she should be a few hundred years old. Her cultivation was around the early stage of 9 stars. She wasn't too strong. It was impossible for him to support the 10,000 herb hall alone. One had to know that the world of martial artists was very cruel. If someone with the strength of an early stage 9 star went out alone, they would probably be swallowed up until not even their bones were left. Therefore, Lin Xian knew that there must be an even more terrifying expert behind Madame Hua. After Madame Hua arrived, she said a few words of courtesy. Although it wasn't much, it still made Hai Yu and the others very excited. Look, this was Wan Gang's face. Thinking of this, Hai Yu became even more proud. This Wan Gong was her man. Thinking of this, she glanced at Fang Hao and Lin Xian. Compared to Wan Gong, these two were simply ants. Fang Hao sensed that many people were looking at him, and his face immediately turned red. Lin Xian was expressionless. When he saw that Madame Hua was about to leave, he immediately said in a deep voice, "Madame Hua, please wait." Hearing this, Madame Hua stopped and turned her head, frowning slightly. The middle-aged deacon was also stunned. Then he stared at Lin Xian. Everyone was stunned. Hai Yu snorted coldly. "Kid, what are you doing? How dare you stop Madame Hua? Do you want to die?" Wan Gang's face also darkened. Although he was powerful, he couldn't be compared to Madame Hua. If this kid angered Madame Hua, he would probably be implicated. Thinking of this, he turned his head and looked with a piercing, killing intent in his eyes. Lin Xian stood with his hands behind his back. His expression was calm, as if he didn't care about the world. Seeing this, Madame Hua was slightly stunned. This young man was so calm. She stopped and asked curiously, "Why did you call me?" "I came to the 10,000 herb hall to buy spiritual herbs." Lin Xian spoke again. "Buy spiritual herbs?" Madame Hua frowned again. "You can just let them handle this kind of thing." As she spoke, she was about to turn her head. However, Lin Xian's voice made her stop again. Chapter 3109. The corners of the middle-aged deacon's mouth twitched. The two old men were also stunned. Even Madame Hua was stunned. What did he say? Did she hear wrongly? All of them were more than 5,000 years old, and the older, the better. And he wanted 7,000 or 8,000 years old. This scene made her feel like she was dreaming. "Kid, you're too reckless. How dare you tease Madame Hua? Do you want to die?" Wan Gong shouted coldly. The others also came back to their senses and sneered. "Kid, do you know what 5,000 years is? And you want 7,000 or 8,000 years old. That's right, and you dare to ask for 50? I think you can't even afford one." These people mocked and ridiculed, and Hai Yu screamed like a little devil. She wanted to see how this kid would end up. Ching Ching sighed. Originally, in her opinion, Lin Xian and Fang Hao were bragging in front of them. However, the other party dared to behave atrociously in 10,000 Herb Hall. Where was this? This was the Azura Arena when 10,000 Herb Hall was first built. Many experts came to assassinate it, but they were all suppressed in the end. Since then, no one dared to come to 10,000 Herb Hall to behave atrociously. But now, the other party dared to tease Madame Hua in public. Wasn't this courting death? Humph! Hearing the words of Wan Gong, Hai Yu and the others, Lin Xian, snorted coldly, and the surrounding aura immediately froze. Wan Gong, Hai Yu and the others trembled, and a hint of fear appeared in their eyes. Especially Wan Gong. It was as if he had been targeted by a peerless beast. The blood in his body was about to condense. Damn it, who was it? He instantly shut his mouth and did not dare to say anything more, because he knew that 10,000 Herb Hall was extremely complicated, and there were peerless experts guarding it. If he dared to be presumptuous again, he would probably be killed immediately. The others, such as Hai Yu and the young warriors and geniuses, were the same. In their opinion, it should be the experts of 10,000 Herb Hall showing their might. How could they have thought that this aura was emitted from Lin Xian's body, seeing that it had quieted down? Madame Hua asked again, "Are you sure you want all of this?" "Of course." "Why? Don't you have it?" "What a joke. What doesn't my 10,000 Herb Hall have?" "Of course, the 10,000 Herb Hall has all of these." "But boy, are you sure you can afford it?" The middle-aged deacon frowned and spoke with a dignified tone. "You think I'm joking with you?" Lin Xian's expression also darkened. Immediately, the terrifying aura in the sky became even more biting cold. Madame Hua's eyelids twitched. Then she brought this young master to see the medicine. However, the middle-aged deacon still wanted to say something, but when he saw the look in Madame Hua's eyes, he immediately bowed and said, "Yes, madam, I understand. Young master, please come with me." He looked at Lin Xian and made an inviting gesture. Lin Xian nodded slightly and said to Fang Hao, "Brother Fang, wait here for a moment. I'll go take a look at the spiritual herbs. Lead the way." Lin Xian came to the front, and the middle-aged deacon led the way. Soon, the two of them left the room. Madame Hua also left, leaving behind only the two spiritual medicine appraisers. They took out a box made of jadeite and precious jade. Inside, there was a 5,000-year-old spiritual herb. What happened next was simple. Wan Gong paid a huge price to buy the spiritual herb and put it into his storage ring. After the two elders left, the entire room was in an uproar. Damn, it can't be, right? Could it be that the boy really wanted to buy so many 5,000-year-old spiritual herbs? Heavens, those were all king herbs. Just one stalk was already at a shocking price. How could that brat possibly afford it? These people were all crazy. To tell the truth, even Fang Hao's mind was blank. He knew that Lin Xian might want to buy a small king herb, but he didn't expect that Lin Xian would say more than 50 king herbs in one breath. That was more than 55,000-year-old spiritual herbs. Wan Gong had already paid a huge price for one, let alone 50. Wan Gong also snorted coldly. Impossible, the boy definitely couldn't afford it. He must be trying to show off in front of us. That's right, just you wait. The consequences of making a fool of the 10,000 herb haul are very tragic. He'll probably be skinned alive, suppressed in hell forever, and never reincarnated. Fang Hao, where did you meet that guy? What's his identity? Hai Yu asked sharply. Ching Ching and the woman in the black dress also looked over. Seeing so many people looking over, Fang Hao was a little nervous. He sighed. I don't know either. I met Brother Lin on the road. From what I know, Brother Lin seems to be a rogue cultivator. What? A rogue cultivator? When those words came out, everyone was stunned. Ha ha! I'm dying of laughter. Those people laughed loudly. Disdain appeared in Hai Li's eyes again. I thought he was a disciple of some big family. He's actually a rogue cultivator. A rogue cultivator like him dares to buy 50 king herbs? He really doesn't know what's good for him. Let's see how he dies. Fang Hao, I advise you to leave quickly. Otherwise you're dead meat too. Wan Gong also snorted coldly, his eyes filled with disdain. As a genius disciple of the Tiangang sect and the young master of the Wan family, buying a 5,000-year-old spiritual herb was already very painful, let alone 50. How could Fang Hao afford it? He knew that Fang Hao would not live. No one had ever left alive after provoking the 10,000 herb haul. Therefore, Wan Gong stood up. Let's go. Don't bother with a dead man. Let's go outside and see if there are any other spiritual herbs. Don't you want to buy a few too? Yes, I haven't bought mine yet. These young prodigy martial artists followed Wan Gong one after another and walked out. Fang Hao was stunned. He was very worried about Lin Xian's safety. In the end, he sighed, gritted his teeth, and followed them. He would not leave. He had to see Lin Xian come out safely with his own eyes. On the other side, the middle-aged deacon and an appraisal elder brought Lin Xian to another hall. According to Lin Xian's request, they took out stalks of spiritual herbs one after another. Among them, the middle-aged deacon sneered and sent a voice transmission. Immediately, the elder took out a few stalks of spiritual herbs and placed them on the table. They were not 5,000-year-old. Some were 3,000-year-old, and some were even 2,000-year-old. However, ordinary people would not be able to tell. When Lin Xian saw this scene, he snorted coldly. Is this how the 10,000 herb hall does business? You took a 2,000-year-old and two 3,000-year-old herbs and mixed them in? The reputation of the 10,000 herb hall is really something. What? Hearing that, the middle-aged deacon and the elder trembled. Their eyes were filled with deep shock. Their voice transmission was very secretive. Moreover, they only mixed in a small amount. Other than the two of them, no one else knew. However, the other party saw through it with a single glance. How was that possible? Could it be that the other party eavesdropped on their conversation? Impossible. The two of them were communicating via voice transmission. Who could hear them? Or was the other party an expert in appraising spiritual herbs? Thinking of that, their hearts beat wildly. It even caused the purple-clothed youth to vomit a mouthful of blood. Ha ha! I thought he was a powerful figure, but he turned out to be a piece of trash. You can't even take a single palm from me. Young Master Shin stood with his hands behind his back, sneering. Yu Min, who was standing at the side, also laughed. She looked at the purple-clothed young man, and her beautiful eyes were filled with ridicule. The purple-clothed youth covered his wound and wiped away the blood. He gritted his teeth and said, "Fine, fine, fine. Kid, just you wait. Today, you won't be able to leave the 10,000 herb hall." With that, he turned around and left. Threatening me? Did I grow up being threatened? Young Master Shin didn't care. He was with Wan Gong and the others. He was also a genius, and his Shin family was also a big family. When had he ever been threatened? Moreover, it was by a piece of trash whose cultivation was lower than his, so he didn't care. What's going on? Who's making trouble here? The deacon of the 10,000 herb hall walked out and asked coldly. The other martial artists felt their scalps go numb. They all saw the scene just now. They didn't expect that someone would dare to make trouble here. Did he want to die? Young Master Shun and the others also changed their expressions, but fortunately Wan Gong walked over, said a few words, and showed his identity. The martial artists of the 10,000 herb hall then left. The surrounding people were all stupefied. They looked at Wan Gong in astonishment. Who are these people? How can they get away with making a move in the 10,000 herb hall? They must be extraordinary. What's going on? Wan Gong asked with a frown. Young Master Shin said, "There's a piece of trash who doesn't know what's good for him and dared to make trouble. I sent him flying with one palm. I also heard that guy say that we won't be able to walk out of the 10,000 herb hall. Who does he think he is? I saw that his clothes and magic treasures are extremely extraordinary. You guys didn't provoke someone powerful, did you?" Fong Hao whispered at the end of the group. Hearing this, everyone turned their heads. Hai Yu sneered disdainfully. Fong Hao, how can a piece of trash like you understand our existence? Even with Brother One here, who dares to harm us? Didn't you see that when Brother One bought spiritual herbs, even Madame Hua wanted to come out? These people were very arrogant and didn't take anyone seriously at all. Wan Gong was even more proud. "Don't worry, if there's anything, I'll settle it for you." He was very confident in his strength and identity. The group continued to stroll in the main hall. On the other side, many people were sitting in an extremely noble and luxurious hall of the 10,000 herb hall. This place was not open to the public, and only the people of the 10,000 herb hall could enter. Madame Hua, who had gone to meet Wan Gong and the others, was also here. However, she was not the main character, but just a foil. At this moment, Madame Hua was swirling a wine cup made of high-quality sub-god crystal. This sub-god crystal emitted a fiery red flame, and spiritual wine rolled inside, making clinking sounds like a volcano erupting. At this moment, Madame Hua was abnormally beautiful. She was nestled in the arms of a man. This man sat there arrogantly, looking dignified without being angry. His eyes were filled with a biting, cold, killing intent, and an irresistible will. It was obvious that he was someone who had been in power for a long time. On either side of him, there were also many elders and kings with powerful auras. These people were all served by beautiful women. Opposite this dignified man was another man with a fat head and big ears and a round belly. He sat there, swirling the wine cup in his hand like the sun and laughing loudly. The beauty in his arms was being played by him nonstop. "Brother Golden Sword, please," the dignified man said in a clear voice. As he spoke, an illusion that resembled a sea of blood surged around him. The other experts and elders were shocked. It seemed that their boss had become stronger than before. "Ha ha, easy." The fat man known as the Golden Sword King laughed loudly. Cooperating with the Bloody Blade King was indeed refreshing. It turned out that the two sides were talking about cooperation. At this moment, the door of the main hall opened, and a figure walked in. It was Nephew Gene. Come, come, come. Quickly serve him." Several beautiful women walked up, wanting to help the purple-clothed man. Scram. However, they were all pushed away by the purple-clothed man. These women were pushed to the ground, trembling. The others were also stunned. What was going on? Was this kid throwing a tantrum? However, when they saw the purple-clothed youth, they were all stunned. The purple-clothed youth's arms were drooping, and his body was covered in blood. What was going on? Was he injured? When the fat Golden Sword King saw this scene, he stood up with a bang, and Golden Sword Chi rushed out of his body. Chapter 3111. Fortunately, the entire 10,000 herb hall was protected by a formation. Otherwise, this attack would have split 10,000 herb hall in half. The dignified man, Bloody Blade Monarch, also frowned. He was originally discussing a cooperation with Metal Sword Monarch to attack a spiritual mountain together. There were many spiritual herbs on that mountain range, and one or two of them were extinct. If they could attack it, the strength of 10,000 herb hall would increase. However, there were many demons on that mountain range. So, both sides wanted to cooperate. Now that they had just reached an agreement, the other party's son was injured in 10,000 herb hall. If this was not handled well, he knew that it would affect the cooperation. Bloody Blade Monarch's face immediately darkened. What was going on? Had they forgotten the rules of 10,000 herb hall? Who dared to attack here? His voice was piercingly cold. Countless blood-colored blade lights circled in the air, emitting a monstrous bloody aura. The surrounding people felt their scalps go numb. One person directly knelt on the ground. This person wore black armor and had a terrifying aura. However, compared to Bloody Blade Monarch, he was much weaker. He was the captain of the guards in charge of 10,000 herb hall's safety. At this moment, he knelt on the ground, trembling. "Calm down," the king said with a trembling voice. Bloody Blade Monarch said coldly, "Go and clarify the matter. Bring the person who attacked here for Brother Gene to deal with. If you can't complete it in half an hour, don't come back." At the end, the space was shattered by the blood-colored blade light. "Yes, I'll do it now." The black-armored man hurriedly left the main hall. Outside, Wan Gong, Hai Yu, and the others were still strolling around. They were not afraid at all. This was because Wan Gong had said that no one dared to attack in 10,000 herb hall. Moreover, he was an honored guest of 10,000 herb hall. He would definitely side with them. Moreover, even if someone dared to attack, they would be suppressed. The strongest person behind 10,000 herb hall was not Madame Hua, but an expert called Bloody Blade Monarch. With Bloody Blade Monarch around, no one dared to behave atrociously in 10,000 herb hall. Therefore, they were very confident. Boom, boom. Suddenly, more than a dozen cultivators in black armor walked in from all directions of the hall. Their expressions were cold and murderous as they walked into the distance. Seeing this scene, the martial artists in the hall were shocked and retreated one after another. Wan Gong, young Master Shin, and the others were also stunned. What was going on? Why was the Black Armor Team mobilized? The Black Armor Team was the law enforcers of the 10,000 Herb Hall. Could it be because of what had just happened? At the thought of this, Yu, young Master Shin, and the others quickly gathered. Who did it just now? The black armored army approached Wan Gong and asked coldly, "Everyone, this is a misunderstanding. I am Wan Gong, an honored guest of your 10,000 Herb Hall." Wan Gong smiled and said, in his opinion, these people would definitely give him face, just like the previous scene. But this time, he was stunned. "I don't care if you're Wan Gong or Qian Gang. Let me ask you, who did it just now?" "What?" Wan Gong was stunned when he heard that. Yu, young Master Shin, and the others were also stunned. What's going on? These people refused to give them face? Wan Gang's face also darkened, sensing the whispers around him. He was so angry that he trembled a little. He was of noble status and powerful strength. Even when he came to the 10,000 Herb Hall, he was treated with respect. When had he ever been looked down upon like this? However, the other party was the law enforcement team of the 10,000 Herb Hall. He could not easily start a conflict with them. So, at this moment, he suppressed his anger. Young Master Shin also shouted coldly, "Yes, I did it. What do you want to do?" "You did it? Then it's easy. Take him away." The middle-aged man in the lead shouted coldly. Immediately, four black-armored army soldiers stood up and came to young Master Shin's side, surrounding him. "What do you want?" Young Master Shin's expression changed. Yu and the others also screamed. Wan Gang's face darkened. Not only did they refuse to give him face, but they also wanted to take away the people around him. Damn it, did they really think that he, Wan Gong, was easy to bully? Buzz. He stood up again. "You guys, where do you want to take my friends?" "Where to?" "Of course, to bring them back for interrogation." "You dare to openly challenge the rules of the 10,000 Herb Hall. You should think of the consequences if you make a move here." A cold voice sounded. Damn it, it was indeed that guy from before who was behind this. Young Master Shin gritted his teeth. Wan Gong also frowned. It seemed that guy had spread the news to the 10,000 Herb Hall. However, he wasn't afraid, because he was a member of the Wan family, and he was also a genius disciple of the Tiangang sect. Even if the matter went to the higher-ups, the 10,000 Herb Hall would have to give him face. So he said calmly, "Brother Shin, don't resist. Go with him. I'll go with you. Don't worry. With me here, there won't be a problem." Wan Gong gave him a reassuring look. "I'll go too. I'll go too." Yu and the others all followed. Seeing this, Wan Gong and young Master Shin became more confident. These people weren't ordinary. Any one of them was a disciple of a big family. With these people working together, even the 10,000 Herb Hall would have to be careful. Let's go. Let's follow and see what that kid is capable of. He actually dares to cause trouble. Damn it, if I see him again, I'll twist his head off. Young Master Shin said viciously. The group excitedly followed the black-armored army and left. Fong Hao sighed and followed, because now he couldn't leave even if he wanted to. These black-armored army had him firmly under their watch. The group walked towards the magnificent main hall. On the other side, Lin Xian had finished inspecting all the herbs. Every one of them was real, and they were all more than 5,000 years old. There were even 5 6,000-year-old herbs and 3 7,000-year-old herbs. "I'll take all of them. Name a price." Lin Xian said calmly. "You'll take all of them." The middle-aged man and the elder were stunned. They couldn't believe their ears. All of the herbs here were more than 5,000 years old. Any one of them would be sold for a sky-high price. Don't say so much. Even a big family wouldn't be able to afford it in such a short time. Who was this kid in front of them? How dare he say such big words? "Young master, are you sure you want it?" The elder asked in a low voice. Previously, Lin Xian saw through their little trick with a glance. They knew that this young man was definitely not simple. So they didn't dare to act rashly. It was very likely that this person had a mysterious background and could afford it. 10,000 Herb Hall couldn't afford to offend such a person. Of course, Lin Xian nodded. This matter is too important. We can't decide. How about this? I'll bring you to see our Madame Hua. Young master, this way please. As they spoke, the middle-aged man and the elder kept the herbs in their storage rings and led the way. Lin Xian nodded slightly and followed them. He knew that these two people couldn't make the decision. At this point, the sea of blood around them surged like two blood dragons. They coiled around the void and enveloped Wan Gong and the others. Feeling this overflowing blood-colored aura, Wan Gong, Hai Yu, and the surrounding sky prides all trembled. It was too powerful. It was so powerful that they couldn't resist. Nephew Jean, I'll leave it to you to deal with these people. The Bloody Blade King ignored Wan Gong and the others. Instead, he looked at the pale-faced youth in purple. Hearing this, the purple-clothed youth grinned. Thank you, Bloody Blade King. He stood up and walked over to young Master Shen and the others with a sinister smile. I've said it before. If you dare hit me, you won't be able to walk out of the 10,000 Herb Hall today. Do you think I'm just playing with you? Now you're finally in my hands. I won't let you people off. I'll torture you to death bit by bit. As he spoke, he pointed at young Master Shen Wan Gong and the other sky prides. Their faces were pale and unsightly, as if they were being targeted by a devil. The purple-clothed youth then looked at Hai Yu, Qing Qing, and the woman in black. You little beauties, of course I have to enjoy you. Don't worry. As long as you serve the young master well, I won't kill you. Instead, I'll reward you greatly. The arrogant voice rang out, but no one spoke. This was because the purple-clothed youth's identity wasn't simple. He was the son of the Metal Sword King. He naturally had the right to be arrogant. Chapter 30:113. Haiyu was so scared that she turned pale. Yumin was so scared that she almost peed her pants. Qing Qing and the black-clothed woman's faces darkened. Qing Qing snorted. I'm from the Qing family. How dare you touch me? That's right. I'm also from the Shun family. If you touch me, the Shun family won't let you off. These prodigies all brought up their families. The names of their families and sects came out one after another, shocking the other kings in the hall. It seemed like this group of people was not simple. Gathering together, they would probably cause quite a bit of damage to the 10,000 Herb Hall. Therefore, many people looked at the Bloody Blade Monarch. The Bloody Blade Monarch waved his hand, not caring at all. These were just disciples of the large families and sects, not the family heads or sect leaders of these families. Therefore, he was not afraid. This was because he had the support of an even more powerful figure behind him. Once such a figure appeared, these family heads and sect leaders would not dare to be impudent. Seeing that the Bloody Blade Monarch was unmoved, Wan Gong and the others' hearts fell into an abyss. For the first time, they realized that their identities were no longer useful. This made them feel a sense of despair. Men, take these women to the side. Break the men's limbs first. I'll torture them properly. The purple-clothed man revealed a sinister smile. Hearing this, the black-armored lord immediately grabbed Qing Qing, the black-clothed woman, Hai Yu Yumin, and the others. Let go. These people shouted. They were not weak, so when they erupted, their auras were really terrifying. However, the black-armored army was even more terrifying. Moreover, they controlled the array formation of the 10,000 Herb Hall. The runes that filled the sky were like the Milky Way. Enveloping these people, making it impossible for them to resist. A man in black armor attacked fiercely like a fiend god. Crack, crack, crack. Instantly, young Master Shin and the other young cultivators around him had their legs broken and were kneeling on the ground. Bang! Wan Gong was sent flying, spitting out large mouthfuls of blood. However, his legs were not broken. Interesting? The Big Dipper body? But it's useless. In front of me, it's not enough. The black-armored man shouted coldly as a large foot descended. The void trembled, and a pitch-black crack appeared. It was incomparably terrifying. Wan Gong tried his best to block, but he could not block it. This stomp broke both of his legs. Wan Gong kneeled on the ground and screamed like a madman. Also, you come over here as well. The black-armored man looked at Fong Hao again. Fong Hao's face was incomparably pale. He had never imagined that he would be embroiled in such a quarrel just by coming to meet Ching Ching. He was not familiar with these people at all. In fact, this was the first time he had met them. But would these people listen to his explanation? Fong Hao clenched his teeth, the veins on his face bulging. When his legs were broken, he only let out a muffled groan, not a scream. This scene shocked the black-armored man. He didn't expect that even though his cultivation was the weakest, his willpower wasn't bad. However, since you've provoked our 10,000 herb haul, you're dead meat. Fong Hao didn't say a word. Beads of sweat flowed down his body, and his body trembled slightly. At that moment, Ching Ching said, "Release him. He's not familiar with us. He's only passing by." Hearing this, the black-armored man didn't say a word, but the purple-clothed youth laughed. "Not familiar? How can I be with you if I'm not familiar with you? What's wrong? Little girl, do you like him? Don't worry, I'll let you have your fill in front of him later." At this point, his gaze kept wandering around Ching Ching's body, and his large hands reached out. It seemed that he couldn't wait any longer. "Damn it, get lost!" Ching Ching screamed, but she was bound by the chains formed by the array formation and couldn't resist at all. "Damn this guy!" Seeing this scene, Fong Hao roared and rushed out, directly shattering the purple-clothed man's large hand. Boom! A large black hole appeared in the void, and Fong Hao retreated with his head broken and bleeding. Seeing this scene, Ching Ching screamed. She didn't expect that at the last moment, none of her friends would help her. Only Fong Hao saved her. This touched her heart very much. When the purple-clothed youth saw this scene, he was also furious. "Kid, it seems that you really want to die. How dare you interfere in my business?" He sent Fong Hao flying with a kick. Fong Hao's bones were broken again, and half of his body was crushed. Clang! The purple-clothed man didn't seem to have vented his anger. He drew his long sword and walked forward. With this sword, Fong Hao's body and soul would definitely be destroyed. Ching Ching screamed in grief, while Wan Gong, Hai Yu, and the others trembled. No one dared to go forward to save her. They knew that Fong Hao was dead meat. At this critical moment, the door of the hall was opened again. This sudden scene caused everyone in the hall to turn their heads and look over. The purple-clothed man frowned, and his long sword stopped in midair. When the black-armored man saw this scene, he shouted coldly, "Didn't I say that no matter what happened, no one was to disturb me? Do you want to die?" The middle-aged deacon, who came and trembled. The sea of blood in the sky and the terrifying killing intent in the surroundings wanted to pierce through him. "The matter is too important, and I don't dare to make the decision. I can only ask Madame Hua to step in." "What's the matter?" Madame Hua also frowned and cautiously glanced at the Bloody Blade Monarch. Seeing that the Bloody Blade Monarch didn't stop her, Madame Hua asked again, "Madam, someone wants to buy 50 stalks of spiritual herbs that are more than 5,000 years old. Moreover, the goods have already been checked out and are waiting for the final price. I don't dare to make the decision, so I can only ask Madame Hua." What? When these words came out, All the powerhouses in the hall were stunned. Many of their hands were trembling slightly. Madame Hua squinted her eyes, emitting a piercing cold light. Even the bloody blade monarch was shocked. He asked in a deep voice, 50 stalks of spiritual herbs that were more than 5,000 years old. Who was it that was so generous? Which sect master was it? The only ones who could afford such a price were the sect masters of the great sects or the top aristocratic families. It's me. Before the middle-aged deacon could say anything, a voice came from outside the hall. Immediately after, a figure walked in. It was a handsome young man in red with fluttering black hair. He slowly walked into the hall with his hands behind his back. When they saw the young man in red, all the powerhouses present were stunned. They didn't recognize such an unfamiliar face. Moreover, wasn't he too young? Wan Gong, Hai Yu, and the others were stunned. What? It's him. They naturally recognized the young man in red. Wasn't he Fong Hao's companion? Did he really want 50 stalks of spiritual herbs that were more than 5,000 years old? What a joke. 50 stalks of king herbs. How could he afford it? These people were about to go crazy. However, looking at the other party's appearance, he seemed to be very calm and confident. Could it be that he was really a genius young master of a great hidden family? When they thought of this, a glimmer of hope rose in their hearts. If he was really such a person, he could definitely contend with the 10,000 herb hall. If that was the case, they would be saved. Brother Lin, you're here, Fong Hao said weakly from the side. Lin Xian looked at Fong Hao and immediately frowned. His face darkened. Chapter 30:114. At this moment, Fong Hao was in an abnormally miserable state. His legs were broken, and there were many wounds on his body. Fresh blood dyed his body red. It was obvious that he was heavily injured. Who did this to you? Lin Xian asked in a low voice. He was indeed angry. The first person he met on the Origin returning star was Fong Hao. Fong Hao was very honest and had brought him along to search for spirit herbs. He even treated him as a true friend. Lin Xian did not look down on him because he was weak. He was also a true friend. But now he had only left for a short while, and Fong Hao was beaten to such a state. He absolutely could not tolerate it. At the same time, he saw Wan Gong, young Master Shen, and the others kneeling on the ground. Their legs were broken, and their flesh was badly mangled. It was obvious that these people were not the ones who did it. These people were also injured. Even Qing Qing and the others were imprisoned by the array. It seemed that Fong Hao was implicated. However, before Lin Xian could say anything, Madame Hua, who was in front of him, giggled. So it was this young master. I didn't expect the young master to be so generous. He really wanted to buy 50 stalks of king herbs. I hope the young master can forgive me for my poor judgment. She did not think that Lin Xian had the strength. But now Lin Xian was here, and the goods were checked. She knew that no one dared to make such a joke. The other party definitely wanted these 50 stalks of king herbs. This was definitely not an ordinary youth. He definitely had a great background. The Bloody Blade monarch was also stunned. He asked, "Who is this person?" Speaking of which, this young master had some connections with the people kneeling on the ground. They seemed to have come together. When these words came out, all the experts in the hall were surprised. Many of their expressions became very interesting. Opposite him, the metal sword monarch's eyes shone with a golden light enveloping Lin Xian. Nephew Jean, when the incident happened, was this young master present? The Bloody Blade monarch asked in a low voice. The purple-clothed youth looked at Lin Xian with a trace of surprise in his eyes. He did not have the ability to buy 50 stalks of king herbs. The other party looked younger than him and actually had such wealth. It was really unexpected. However, he shook his head. I don't know this person. Madame Hua and the Bloody Blade monarch heaved a sigh of relief when they heard this. It seemed like there was no enmity between the two sides. the Bloody Blade monarch said with a smile. This young master, 50 king herbs, the price was negotiable. Moreover, he could give the young master a great discount. He could even let the young master take this person away. With that, he pointed at Fong Hao. However, it's impossible for the others to leave after scolding the guests who offended me. When these words were spoken, the hearts of Wan Gong and the others sank to the bottom of the ocean. They looked at Fong Hao with envy. Hai Yu, in particular, couldn't believe it. She had always looked down on this young man, but he actually had such an identity. He could buy 50 stalks of king herbs. He could even make the Bloody Blade king give him face. This was something that Wan Gong could not do at all. Thinking of this, Hai Yu felt extremely regretful. Wan Gong gritted his teeth so hard that they almost broke. Why? How could this kid be so powerful? He was the genius of the Heavenly Dipper sect, the young master of the Wan clan. They would not be able to contend against the Bloody Blade monarch. Their legs would be broken, and they would be slaughtered. But what about the other party? He could actually make the Bloody Blade monarch treat him like this. He was going crazy with jealousy. However, he knew that he could not be jealous. He hurriedly looked at Lin Xian, hoping that he would save him. Hai Yu, who was at the side, was even more excited. Young master, please save me. I'm willing to pay any price. Lin Xian ignored Hai Yu, Wan Gong, and the others. He looked directly at Fong Hao. With a wave of his hand, a green light flew out and enveloped Fong Hao. Instantly, Fong Hao's broken legs and the cracks on his body quickly recovered. This scene shocked the experts in the main hall once again. What a magical ability! It could actually heal injuries. Was this a wood-type martial artist? These people were shocked. Fong Hao felt like he was in a dream. The injuries just now had an extremely strong murderous aura that he could not erase. He could only endure it with great difficulty. However, he did not expect that Lin Xian would heal him with a gentle wave of his hand. Could it be that the brother Lin he knew was an expert? However, he was only an early-stage, 9-star martial artist. He could not see through Lin Xian's strength. Thank you, brother Lin, for saving me. Fong Hao cupped his fists gratefully. Lin Xian smiled. You and I are friends. You don't have to be so polite. Speaking of this, his face turned gloomy. His eyes were emitting a cold, murderous aura. Not just anyone can touch my Lin Xian's friend. Who was the one who injured you just now? It was Fong Hao wanted to say something but stopped. He was not an arrogant person. Moreover, he knew that although Lin Xian was strong, he was not strong enough to face the Bloody Blade monarch. Seeing that Fong Hao did not speak, Lin Xian looked at the Bloody Blade monarch and said loudly, I'll give you a chance. Tell me who injured my friend and kill him. I can spare your lives. What? As soon as these words came out, everyone was like a bolt from the blue, struck dumb. The Bloody Blade monarch was even more stunned. Then he raised his head and laughed. The others followed suit. His voice shook the 9 heavens. Black holes appeared in the sky, and the blood sea surged. Wan Gong, young Master Shen, and the others were stunned. Hai Yu was pale with fright. Did this kid want to die? He actually dared to say such words to the Bloody Blade monarch. What a reckless brat. Who did he think he was? Did he think he could fight against the Bloody Blade monarch by buying 50 king herbs? This kid might not be able to buy the king herbs today. He might even lose his life here. As expected, the Bloody Blade monarch stopped talking. The blood sea on his body turned into 9 dragons that circled behind him. A pair of blood-red eyes stared at Lin Xian. Kid, what did you just say? You want to kill all of us? Who do you think you are? Beside him, the black-armored man sneered. I know you're rich. If you can buy 50 king herbs, your identity must be extraordinary. Moreover, that move just now should belong to a wood elemental martial artist. May I know which family you're from? However, Even your family's patriarch wouldn't dare to be so presumptuous in front of the bloody blade monarch. Hurry up and kneel down and apologize. Otherwise, I won't be polite. This black-armored man was the captain of the 10,000 Herb Hall's guards. Previously, he was the one who broke the legs of Fong Hao and the others. At this moment, the black-armored man looked down at Lin Xian from above. Everyone was extremely nervous. Fong Hao exclaimed and wanted to dissuade Lin Xian. However, the next moment, he was stunned. Lin Xian looked at the black-armored man, snorted, and raised his hand. A large golden hand descended from the sky. With a bang, the black-armored man was slammed to the ground. Half of the black-armored man's body was instantly turned into a bloody mist. A wretched scream rang out. It was as if a malicious spirit was screaming. Blood spurted out. Everyone was shocked again. What had they just seen? Chapter 3115. The dignified captain of the law enforcement team, a late-stage 9-star powerhouse, was seriously injured by a young man's slap. It was unbelievable. The powerhouses in the hall were stunned. Wan Gong, Hai Yu, and the others' minds went blank. Everything that had happened since Lin Xian's arrival was simply too shocking. Every one of them was like a dream. Now, they were even more scared silly. Damn kid, I'm going to kill you. The black-armored man screamed crazily, and his broken body quickly healed. He got up from the ground and wanted to attack again. However, in the next moment, he was crushed by a golden foot again, and his body was torn into pieces. He was firmly trampled on the ground. Lin Xian looked around and said coldly as he stepped on the black-armored man with one foot, "This is your last chance. Whoever did it, stand out and let me kill you. The others can live. Otherwise, all of you will be buried with me." Lin Xian's voice was sonorous, and his killing intent surged and swept through the 9 heavens. At this moment, no one dared to doubt his words. Seeing that no one spoke, Lin Xian stared at the purple-clothed young man. Suddenly, the purple-clothed young man trembled in fear, and the long sword in his hand fell to the ground. However, he still gritted his teeth and roared, "Kid, why are you looking at me? It was me who did it. Kill me if you can. See if my father doesn't slap you to death." His father was an extremely terrifying, invincible king. Even the Bloody Blade King had to be careful, let alone this young man in front of him. As long as his father made a move, he could kill him with a sword. "You did it? Very well." Lin Xian snorted coldly, waved his hand, and grabbed at the purple-clothed young man. "You're courting death." Seeing this, all the kings in the hall were furious. In an instant, 3 of them rushed over. 2 of them protected the purple-clothed young man, and 1 of them attacked Lin Xian. Whoosh! Bang! The purple-clothed young man screamed as he was slapped away. Half of his face was smashed, and his body turned into a bloody mist. The attacker had only managed to attack Lin Xian's illusion. This scene caused an uproar in the hall. The kings all stood up, their killing intent exploding. Wan Gong, Hai Yu, and the others were stupefied. Who was this person? His methods were too powerful. He actually dared to openly oppose the 10,000 Herb Hall. Madame Hua was so scared that her beautiful face turned pale. The middle-aged deacon was even more stunned. Wasn't he here to buy spirit medicine? Why did they start fighting? He shivered and hid at the side. The Bloody Blade Monarch's eyes shone with a cold light as blood-colored runes spread out from his body. "Good kid, how many years has it been since someone dared to attack me? Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Close the door and get into formation. Don't let anyone out." Following the Bloody Blade Monarch's order, the entire hall lit up with countless runes. They were densely packed and emitted a terrifying aura. "Boss, should we kill these people?" Many kings looked at Wan Gong and the others. The Bloody Blade monarch said, "Get them out first and watch them carefully. After I kill this kid, I'll deal with these people." Wan Gong and the others had extraordinary statuses, and they could make good use of them. Who knows, they might be able to extort a huge sum of money from these clans. Therefore, he didn't kill Wan Gong and the others for now. Even Fong Hao was enveloped by the array and sent out of the hall. Only the experts from the Myriad Herb Hall and Lin Xian were left in the hall. Lin Xian didn't care, as he left a strand of sword energy in Fong Hao's body. With this sword energy, Fong Hao wouldn't be in danger. As for the lives of the others, he didn't care. "Father, kill him. You must kill him. Take revenge for me." After the purple-clothed youth's body reformed, he went to the fat middle-aged man's side and screamed crazily. The middle-aged man, who was the Metal Sword Monarch, sat up straight. He didn't attack, but looked at the Bloody Blade Monarch. The Bloody Blade Monarch said, "Brother Gene, don't worry. I'll settle this matter and capture this kid personally. Go, capture him for me." Following the Bloody Blade Monarch's order, more than 10 experts quickly attacked and surrounded Lin Xian once again. "Die for me?" An old man opened his mouth and spat out a heavenly river. The blue heavenly river was like lightning and contained immense power. Wang, the other woman, took out an ancient mirror. Countless light runes flew out from the ancient mirror and attacked Lin Xian. Boom! A blue-clothed middle-aged man waved his hand, and countless runes interweaved to form a large net that fell from the sky. Rays of light rose as these people attacked with all their strength. More than 10 invincible kings working together was truly terrifying and could destroy everything. Even the Bloody Blade Monarch and the Metal Sword Monarch might not be able to contend against them and could only dodge, let alone this kid in front of them. "You don't know what's good for you. You actually dare to bully me." Lin Xian stood with his hands behind his back and smiled as he looked at the divine abilities rushing at him from all directions. These people were all invincible kings, and in the eyes of others, they were extremely powerful. But in his eyes, they were nothing. He stretched out a large golden hand and grabbed in all directions. Boom! The overflowing silver river surged in all directions and was directly shattered. The flickering net was also torn to pieces. The ancient mirror was also shattered by Lin Xian with a slap. In just an instant, the offensive divine abilities of more than 10 invincible kings were all broken. How was this possible? The dozen or so invincible kings were stunned, and their bodies began to tremble. At this moment, the Metal Sword Monarch and the Bloody Blade Monarch also stood up and stared at Lin Xian with piercing cold light in their eyes. However, what shocked them was yet to come. Lin Xian bent his index finger slightly and then flicked out a sword wave that flew in all directions with him as the center. Puff, 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 puff. The invincible kings were enveloped by the sword wave, and their bodies were instantly shattered. Corpses fell from the sky, and a bloody mist filled the air. It was a scene of hell on earth. Madame Hua was stunned. The purple-clothed youth was stunned. The Metal Sword Monarch was stunned. And the Bloody Blade Monarch was also stunned, especially the Bloody Blade Monarch and the Metal Sword Monarch. Their scalps went numb. Those were more than 10 invincible kings. How terrifying was it when they attacked together? Even they did not dare to face them head-on and could only rely on their speed to dodge. However, the other party had broken all their divine abilities with a light wave of his hand, and with a light wave of his hand, he had killed these invincible kings. Why did it look like a legend? I said before, don't attack me and don't provoke me. Do you still want to continue? Lin Xian stood with his hands crossed and asked indifferently. His voice was not loud, but it was like a clap of thunder in the ears of these people, causing them to tremble. Kid, who exactly are you? The Bloody Blade Monarch gritted his teeth and asked, Me? My name is Lin Xian. Lin Xian? I've never heard of you. Which family are you from? Which sect are you from? The metal sword monarch also kept roaring. He was really frightened. Such a young man with such means. Could he be one of those terrifying existences? But that was impossible. Why would such a genius be here? Why would he be related to Fong Hao and the others? They really could not understand. Chapter 30, 116. Lin Xian did not reply to their nonsense. Instead, he stared at the purple-clothed youth. Now, you can die obediently. The purple-clothed youth was scared out of his wits and hurriedly hid behind the metal sword king. Father, save me. The purple-clothed youth's voice was trembling. The metal sword king snorted coldly. Since you don't want to talk about your origin, don't blame me for being impolite. Although the other party was powerful and had strange methods, he would not stop. This purple-clothed youth was his son. How could he allow someone to attack him in front of him? It had always been him killing others, and this time was no exception. Go to hell, brat! The metal sword king roared, and 36 golden sword lights appeared behind him. The runes on them revolved and exploded with soaring killing intent. As the metal sword king waved his arm, the 36 sword lights trembled violently. Each of them was like a pillar that supported the sky, emitting a cold light. These sword lights slashed down together, filling the entire sky. Too powerful. The metal sword king's first move was a killing move. He was an expert at the peak of the 9-star level. This attack was even more terrifying than the combined attack of a dozen unparalleled kings. Seeing this scene, the Bloody Blade King laughed. The Metal Sword King's strength was above his expectations. This way, the kid would definitely not be able to block it. The shocking attack enveloped Lin Xian. Lin Xian looked at the surrounding sword lights with disdain. You want to compete with me in sword techniques? Let me show you what a true sword technique is. He stretched out his golden hand and grabbed at the sky. Instantly, he grabbed one of the golden sword lights. Then he waved his arm. Buzz, the originally dazzling golden sword light, suddenly erupted with unparalleled light, enveloping the entire heaven and earth. The biting cold aura caused the surrounding array to tremble. How was this possible? The Metal Sword King opened his eyes wide in disbelief. This move of his, the 36 golden lights, was extremely terrifying and incomparable. He had already used it to the extreme. However, one of the sword lights could increase its power in the hands of the other party. Moreover, it was far beyond his. The difference between him and the other party was like the difference between an ant and a dragon. This made him despair. With a slash, the remaining 35 sword lights were cut in half. The sky was split into 2 halves. The surrounding formations kept rumbling and shattering. Puff! Metal Sword King was sent flying by the sword. His body was split open and blood splattered everywhere. It was an exceptionally terrifying scene. Impossible! Damn it! I don't believe it! The purple-clothed youth screamed, as if he had gone mad. His father had actually been defeated and had even been split apart. He was about to faint from fright. Bloody Blade King's pupils shrank. Metal Sword King, let's attack together. With a clang, he drew out a long saber. His aura pierced through the clouds. Good. The Metal Sword King's body reassembled, and his fat body quickly became thin, turning into a robust man. At the same time, the aura on his body rapidly erupted, burning his blood essence. The middle-aged man's fat body was used to nourish his blood essence. At critical moments, he would burn it to strengthen himself. Now that he was burning his blood essence, his aura had improved tremendously. Absolute kill, dazzling heaven and earth. The Metal Sword King bellowed. His body emitted tens of thousands of sword chi, which filled the entire space. Every ray of sword chi was much sharper than the one before. These sword chis kept vibrating and quickly gathered to form a golden sword. It was grabbed by the Metal Sword King. Whoosh! He soared into the sky, piercing through the void. In an instant, he arrived in front of Lin Xian. If this sword pierced through, even an unparalleled king would be destroyed in body and soul. "Ha ha, kid, die for me." Behind him, the purple-clothed youth shouted excitedly. Too weak. Lin Xian shook his head slightly. He stretched out 2 fingers and placed them in front of his forehead. Clang! He actually managed to catch the sword light with both hands. How was this possible? Even Metal Sword King was trembling. This was his strongest attack. He had already burned his blood essence. Even if the Bloody Blade King was hit, he would probably be seriously injured and on the verge of death. However, the other party had easily caught it with 2 fingers. Who was this person? Was he not a young man, but an old monster who had lived for thousands of years? Thinking of this, he was extremely terrified. But soon he smiled, because on the other side the Bloody Blade King had made his move. The Bloody Blade King had unknowingly appeared behind Lin Xian. The blood-colored saber in his hand slashed down. This saber was surrounded by 9 blood-colored flood dragons. Each of them was like a huge mountain, emitting a vast aura. This saber slash was definitely not weaker than the Metal Sword King's ultimate move. The Bloody Blade King was indeed an ambitious person. His first move was an absolute kill, not giving the other party any chance to live. "Let's see how you die this time." The Bloody Blade King was too excited. His sudden attack was definitely not something the other party could block. Lin Xian did not block at all. He allowed the saber to slash down. Boom! This saber landed solidly on Lin Xian's body, emitting a sonorous sound. The Bloody Blade King was overjoyed at first. This saber slash could definitely split the other party in half, but soon he was stunned. Then he became shocked. His eyes were filled with fear. Even the Metal Sword King looked as if he had seen a ghost and screamed crazily. This was because they had realized that the Bloody Blade King's blood-colored saber had landed on Lin Xian's shoulder, causing sparks to fill the sky and a thunderous sound to ring out. However, Lin Xian was not injured. In fact, there was not even a drop of blood. Sneak attack me? Do you think you can succeed? Lin Xian did not even turn his head. His body only trembled slightly. With a clang, the blood-colored saber broke into 2 halves. Bang, bang, bang. The Bloody Blade King kept retreating. He was trembling, and his eyes were filled with fear. "Who are you? Who exactly are you?" He was really stunned. His saber was absolutely terrifying. However, the other party was actually unharmed? What kind of physique was that? He had never heard of it before. The Metal Sword King's body was also trembling. What kind of existence were they trying to assassinate? This was definitely a terrifying genius that they could not comprehend. Whoosh! He wanted to escape. However, would he be able to escape? Lin Xian gently waved his finger. Immediately, the golden light sword formed by tens of thousands of sword auras began to shatter. The Metal Sword King discovered that cracks had also appeared on one of his arms and were spreading to his entire body. With a loud bang, it exploded with a loud bang. Ah! The Metal Sword King screamed crazily. He wanted to escape, but he was destroyed by Lin Xian's finger. Even his soul could not escape. No! The purple-clothed youth screamed crazily and fainted from fear. The Bloody Blade King knelt on the ground with a plop and kowtowed nonstop. "Young master, don't kill me. I was blind and offended, young master. I beg young master to spare my life." His head hit the ground like a clap of thunder. "Don't kill you? Give me a reason not to kill you." Lin Xian turned around and looked down at the other party. He was like a high and mighty deity that controlled everything. The Bloody Blade King raised his head. When he saw those emotionless eyes, his soul trembled. The next moment, He slashed out with his saber and split the purple-clothed youth into two halves. This kid dared to provoke young master's friend. I have long disliked him. Now, I will kill him. I beg young master to spare my life. Oh, Lin Xian did not even look at the purple-clothed youth. That's it. Chapter 30, 117. Of course not. The bloody blade monarch knelt on the ground, looking even more respectful. He smiled fawningly and said, "The 50 stalks of king medicines that young master wants, I will give them to young master for free." If anyone else had been there and heard this, they would have been scared silly. 50 king herbs. That was a huge sum of wealth, yet the bloody blade monarch was giving it away. However, Lin Xian was still unmoved. 50 king herbs? He was indeed tempted, but it wasn't enough. Originally, he had wanted to uproot the 10,000 herb hall after injuring my companion. Did he think he could uproot the entire 10,000 herb hall with just 50 king herbs? To be honest, Lin Xian didn't care about this. These were about 5,000 years old, so they could only be called small king herbs. A real king medicine was worth 8,000 yuan, or even 10,000 years of age. The 10,000 herb hall probably didn't even have such an existence. The value of that one king herb far exceeded these 50 king herbs. The bloody blade monarch almost despaired when he heard Lin Xian's words. Even 50 king herbs couldn't quell the other party's anger? Was he really going to die here today? On the other hand, Madame Hua screamed and came back to her senses. She hurriedly crawled over. "Young master, I know that you are collecting a lot of spirit herbs. The 10,000 herb hall can definitely help you collect them. We will do it for free." "Yes, the 10,000 herb hall is willing to help you collect all kinds of spirit herbs for free." The bloody blade monarch seemed to have grasped at a life-saving straw. Lin Xian, on the other hand, looked at them with a half-smile on his face. Really? Were they really willing to do this? I'm afraid they couldn't make the decision. Right? The 10,000 herb hall was able to stand tall in Giant Armor City because of you, the bloody blade monarch. That was indeed the case. The bloody blade monarch was powerful enough to dominate Giant Armor City. However, the cloud returning planet was so big that Lin Xian didn't think that there weren't any exceptional experts here. To be honest, there are indeed some mysterious existences behind the 10,000 herb hall. Have you heard of the Green Hill Qi family? The 10,000 herb hall was the property of the Qi family's fourth master. At this critical moment, the bloody blade monarch finally revealed the power behind him. The Green Hill Qi family? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He had just arrived on Return Cloud Planet, so he naturally did not know anything about the Qi family. The bloody blade monarch seemed to see the doubt in Lin Xian's eyes. He was equally shocked. How could anyone not know about the Qi family? The other party should be from one of the top clans as well. Naturally, he would know about the Green Hill Qi clan. However, he didn't dare to ask. He could only explain that the school of weaponry was very famous in the northern continent, and it wasn't any weaker than the great sects of the Holy Lands. Was it a great sect-level family? No wonder he was able to support the 10,000 herb hall. Now that he thought about it, it was indeed possible. "Are you threatening me by bringing up the Qi family?" Lin Xian said indifferently. He was no longer afraid of the Qi clan. If it was in the past, he wouldn't have been able to contend against the major sects of the Holy Lands. But things were different now. This was the Cloud Return planet, and he had nothing to worry about. With his strength, only the foundations and fossils of the great sects of the Holy Lands could threaten him. He really didn't care about the other people like the elders and the sect master. Moreover, he wasn't stupid. Once those living fossils made a move, he could just leave Cloud Return Planet without a second thought. Hence, Lin Xian wouldn't show any mercy here. "I naturally don't dare to threaten you. I just don't want to cause trouble for you. The Bloody Blade monarch said fawningly. Whatever you need, just tell me. I'll definitely do it. Madame Hua nodded furiously. They knew that Lin Xian had killed the metal sword monarch with a raise of his hand. Killing them would be as easy as flipping his hand. All right, I'll spare your lives. Lin Xian waved his hand and threw out a jade slip. Collect as many spirit herbs as there are in it. Yes, Madame Hua and the Bloody Blade monarch hurriedly sent their souls into it. But in the next moment, they fainted. There were so many spirit herbs. There were more than 1,000 types. Moreover, they had never even heard of many of them. Who was this person? Why was he collecting so many spirit herbs? Could he be an alchemist? Lin Xian ignored them. Instead, he said coldly, "Go ahead and collect them. When the time comes, I'll come and get them. Also, don't try to play tricks. Don't think of using other methods to deal with me. I'm not an existence you can understand. If you provoke me, I'll destroy the Qi family." Lin Xian wasn't wrong. With the current Qi family, only the living fossils and the dormant foundation were his opponents. However, the other elders weren't his opponents. If they provoked him, he would kill all the disciples and elders. Leaving only the living fossils behind was almost the same as destroying the Qi family. Moreover, Lin Xian wasn't worried about these spirit herbs spreading. Just by looking at these spirit herbs, no one would be able to guess what he was going to refine. He wouldn't tell anyone the real recipe. Hearing this, the Bloody Blade monarch was startled. Then he immediately reacted. With a suction force, a storage ring on the ground was sucked into his hand. He then respectfully raised it above his head. "Young master, please." Lin Xian nodded slightly. He took the storage ring and put it away. Inside were the 55,000-year-old spirit herbs he had chosen. As for the rest, he would let these people collect them. When the time came, he would take them. He turned and walked into the distance. Behind him, the Bloody Blade monarch and Madame Hua hurriedly stood up and respectfully followed behind Lin Xian. Outside, Wan Gong, Hai Yu, and the others had ugly expressions. Fong Hao was anxiously waiting. "Brother Lin, nothing must happen to you." Fong Hao prayed in his heart. Hai Yu and Wan Gong snorted. "Nothing must happen to him? He's definitely dead. After offending the Bloody Blade monarch, it would be difficult for him to walk out alive. I thought he was a genius young master who could take us away. I didn't expect him to be a reckless fool." Hai Yu also shook her head. The others' faces were ashen. It seemed that they were really dead this time. Buzz. The door of the hall opened, and a figure walked out. "It's over. He's here to kill us." Many of the prodigies closed their eyes. Hai Yu and the others were pale with fright. However, in the next moment, they heard Wan Gang's roar. "What? It's you? How is this possible? How can you not be dead?" He was so shocked that it was as if he had seen a ghost. His entire body was drenched in cold sweat. When the others heard this, they opened their eyes. What had happened? What was it that could make Wan Gangwei so shocked? They looked over and were all dumbstruck. This was probably the biggest shock they had ever experienced in their lives. The person who walked out was Lin Xian. He was spotless and had his hands behind his back. He wasn't injured at all. He didn't die, and he wasn't injured at all. How was this possible? Could it be that the Bloody Blade monarch didn't attack him? But how was that possible? Lin Xian had offended the Bloody Blade monarch in public. It was already good enough that he wasn't tortured to death for 100 years. But how did he come out alive? At this moment, everyone was stunned. Chapter 30, 118. However, what shocked them even more was yet to come. That was because after Lin Xian came out, two more figures walked out. It was Madame Hua and the Bloody Blade monarch. However, at this moment, The two of them no longer had their previous arrogance and dignity. They followed behind Ling Xian respectfully as if they were his servants. This scene made everyone feel like they were dreaming. The surrounding black armored guards who were in charge of guarding were also stunned. Someone even shouted coldly, "Damn brat, why did you come out? Go and die." That person's attack was only halfway through when it was shattered by a blood-red blade. It was the Bloody Blade Monarch. He shouted coldly, "You're courting death. How dare you attack Lin Gongzi? Kneel down." Hearing this, the surrounding black armored army all knelt on the ground, trembling. Their boss, the Bloody Blade Monarch, was furious. The Bloody Blade Monarch smiled apologetically at Lin Xian. "Lin Gongzi, I'm sorry. I didn't recognize you and disturbed you. Yes, yes, yes. I'll prepare the best banquet to entertain Lin Gongzi." Madame Hua, who was beside him, also smiled apologetically. If she wasn't afraid of Lin Xian, she would have stuck her entire body to him. In front, Wan Gong, Hai Yu, young Master Shen, and the others all had their mouths wide open. Were they dreaming? Were they under an illusion? The great Bloody Blade Monarch was actually speaking in such a servile manner? What did this Lin Xian do? Who was he? Even Qing Qing and the lady in black were stunned. Feng Hao was even more stunned, as if he was dreaming. The Bloody Blade Monarch continued. "What are you waiting for? Quickly remove the array for these people." Previously, he had heard from Madame Hua that Lin Xian had come with these people. They should be companions. Therefore, he naturally had to release these people now. Hearing this, Hai Yu, Wan Gong, and the others were overjoyed. Were they saved? That was great. Young Master Shen Yumin and the others felt as if they had just survived a disaster. Lin Xian naturally didn't say anything about this because these people were still useful to him. Lin Xian turned to look at the Bloody Blade King. The Bloody Blade Monarch hurriedly said, "Don't worry, young master. I will do my best to prepare, and will not disappoint you." "That's good." Lin Xian nodded and looked at Feng Hao. "Let's go." As he spoke, he walked forward. Feng Hao quickly followed beside him. Seeing this, the others also sped up and left the 10,000 Herbs Hall as if they were fleeing. After leaving the 10,000 Herb Hall, everyone finally heaved a sigh of relief. Among them, Feng Hao was very excited. "Brother Lin, you're fine. That's great. Thank you for your help." He knew that the reason Lin Xian had clashed with the people of 10,000 Herb Hall was all because of him. Therefore, he was extremely sensitive. Qing Qing and the woman in black also walked over to pay their respects. They thanked Lin Gongzi for taking action. Lin Xian nodded slightly. Around them, Hai Yu, young Master Shen Wan Gong, and the others had complicated expressions on their faces. To be honest, they were extremely surprised. Before this, they had never taken Lin Xian seriously. However, they did not expect that Lin Xian would have such great power to make the Bloody Blade King bow. It could be said that they were saved because of this person in front of them. However, it was really difficult for them to thank the other party for the time being. They were used to being high and mighty. When had they ever been so grateful to someone of the same age? Therefore, everyone looked at Wan Gong. Because Wan Gong was their leader, Wan Gong took a deep breath and clasped his fists. "Thank you very much this time. I wonder which family's disciple Lin Gongzi is from. Wan Gong will definitely visit and thank you another day." "Visit and thank you?" Lin Xian smiled and said, "Don't worry. Each of you will have the chance to repay me." What did he mean? Wan Gong frowned slightly. "That's right, kid. Don't go too far." Young Master Shen snorted coldly. The others were also unhappy. They had already thanked him. What else did he want? What did he mean? "You were going to die, but I saved you from the hands of the Bloody Blade King. Now, your lives are mine." What? The moment he said that, everyone was stunned. Wan Gang's face turned cold. What did you say? Our lives are yours? What a joke. Did you think that the bloody Blade King would dare to attack us just because we were captured? That's right. Hayu also shrieked. If he wanted to kill us, he would have done so long ago. Why did he have to trap us? I'm afraid that he wants to benefit from us. He just wants to make our family bleed. He doesn't dare to kill us. The others also responded. Now that they thought about it, that was indeed the case. It seems that you guys are really reckless. Lin Xian's eyes suddenly shone with a cold light. Then countless phantoms appeared, densely packed together. The next moment, miserable screams rang out. Wan Gong, Hayu, young Master Shen, and the surrounding people all screamed. Other than Fong Hao, the black-dressed woman, and Qing Qing, everyone else knelt on the ground again. Their legs were broken and turned into a bloody mist. Damn it. You dare to break my legs? I'll kill you. Our family won't let you off. Screams rang out one after another. Wan Gong felt his scalp go numb. The nightmare had appeared again. Previously, at the 10,000 Herb Hall, their legs had been broken by the black-armored captain. Who would have thought that they would suffer the same fate again? Moreover, what shocked Wan Gong even more was that the other party was so strong. He had completely surpassed them. Who was this person? On the side, Qing Qing and the black-dressed woman also opened their small mouths in shock. Fong Hao was also stunned. Then he laughed bitterly. It turned out that Lin Xian was so strong. The two kings that the Blood River sect had chased down that day were probably killed by him. In front, Lin Xian stood with his hands behind his back, as if he had done something insignificant. He looked at the wailing scene in front of him and said coldly, "If you dare to scream again, I'll kill you all." Immediately, no one dared to make a sound. Even Wan Gong clenched his teeth without uttering a single sound. This was because he did not doubt that the other party would dare to do so. Moreover, they were in Great Armor City, which was too close to the 10,000 Herb Hall. If the other party called the Bloody Blade Lord out, he would kill them. At that time, they would not be able to resist at all. "What do you want?" Wan Gong gritted his teeth and said. Lin Xian laughed. "Smart. What's the use of keeping you alive? You've been mocking me since the beginning. Do you really think I don't know? I saved you, but you're not grateful? You want to turn the tables on me? There's no such thing in this world." As he said that, he waved his hand. A jade slip appeared in the air, and countless information poured into the minds of these people. Remember, each of you must collect at least 50 spiritual herbs, and they must be no less than 5,000 years old. You have 3 months to prepare. At that time, I'll personally come to collect them. With that, Lin Xian kept the jade slip. At the same time, a ball of 9 suns' divine fire danced on his finger, then turned into countless flames and entered the glabella of Wan Gong and the others. After 3 months, if you can't hand over the spiritual herbs, you can imagine what will happen to you. Chapter 30, 119. What? How dare you threaten us? Hayu screamed. Young Master Shen roared. Damn brat, I'll kill you. Humph. Lin Xian snorted. Suddenly, countless flames appeared on young Master Shen's body and enveloped him. Young Master Shen screamed. Damn it, get lost. With a cold shout, a blue gourd rushed out from the top of his head. Countless Milky Way flew out and formed a monstrous sea. It enveloped him and tried to extinguish the flames. However, he realized that he couldn't do it. No matter how many magical powers he used, the flames continued to burn. Young Master Shen knelt on the ground with a plop. I was wrong. Please forgive me. I'll definitely help you prepare the spiritual herbs. After he said that, the flames instantly merged into his body and disappeared. Young Master Shen fell to the ground. His body was charred black. The smell of barbecued meat filled the air. The armor on his body, the defensive jade pendant, and the necklace were all shattered. Everyone was stunned. Those who were kneeling on the ground started to tremble. Demon. This young man was simply a demon. What kind of means was this? It was simply a miracle. Originally, they wanted to join forces with Wan Gong to kill him, but now they didn't dare to do so. The other party could burn them with just a glance. If he wanted to kill them, it would be as easy as blowing off dust. Damn it, it's the flame he planted in our bodies. Wan Gong clenched his fists. It seemed that he could only agree to the other party's request. After he left, he would look for his family and sect to find a solution. Therefore, these people all obediently said, Lin Gongzi, don't worry. We'll do our best to find the spiritual herbs for you. Lin Xian nodded and said again, also, Fong Hao is my brother. I don't want him to be in any danger in the future. If Fong Hao is hurt, I won't let you off. Of course, I won't do it, but the Bloody Blade King will do it for me. Hearing this, everyone trembled again. It seemed that the last trace of revenge was gone. All right, get lost. Lin Xian waved his hand and blew Wan Gong and the others into the sky. Then he turned to look at Fong Hao. Let's go and have a drink. Fong Hao froze for a moment, then excitedly followed Lin Xian's footsteps. Qing Qing and the woman in black were also stunned. However, they soon heard Lin Xian's voice. Both of you, don't just stand there. Come over together. The two of them were also overjoyed and followed after him. Wan Gong, Hai Yu young Master Shen, and the others were blown away. Then they quickly recovered their legs and left Giant Armor City as if they were fleeing from something. They had to return to their respective clans and sects to discuss how to deal with the situation. They had all seen the information that Lin Xian had given them. Moreover, he had requested for them to be at least 5,000 years old. This was a sky-high price. Although they were all large families, to come up with such a spirit medicine, they would have to use a large amount of their family's wealth. They weren't the patriarchs of their families, they were just the younger generation. They didn't even know if their families would do such a thing for them. Furthermore, no one was willing to hand over these king medicines to the other party for free, especially people like Wan Gong and Hai Yu. They were even more unwilling. Therefore, they had to find a solution quickly. It would be best if they could get rid of the flames in their bodies. This way, the other party wouldn't be able to threaten them anymore. On the other side, at the 1,000 Herb Hall, in the magnificent hall, corpses and blood were still there. However, at this moment, a few more figures were standing there. Two of them were the Bloody Blade Monarch and Madame Hua. The other figures were the experts, who had just arrived at the 1,000 Herb Hall to look for their elders. When they saw the countless kings' corpses in the hall, their scalps went numb. What kind of battle had happened just now? Why didn't they sense it? One had to know that although a battle between kings was protected by a formation, it would still be earth-shattering, especially when so many kings attacked together. They would probably tear down the entire 1,000 Herb Hall. However, they didn't even sense a trace of energy. Then there was only one possibility: instant kill. Thinking of this, their scalps went numb. In front, Madame Hua looked at the Bloody Blade Monarch and asked carefully, "My lord, what should we do? Should we report this to the Qi family? Let the Qi family send experts to kill that kid." Nonsense! The Bloody Blade Monarch suddenly exploded, and a sea of blood surged from his body. Madame Hua was so frightened that she knelt on the ground, trembling. The Bloody Blade Monarch was like a demonic god, as he said coldly, "You all saw what happened today. A young man instantly killed more than a dozen kings and defeated the Metal Sword Monarch in one move. Do you think such a person is simple? How could such a person be an ordinary person? Although we are backed by the Qi family, to put it bluntly, we are just dogs of the Qi family. If we really offend an earth-shattering figure, will the Qi family risk their lives for us? Madame Hua almost fainted when she heard this. The other elders also fell silent. That was indeed the case. Their Thousand Herb Hall was a tyrant in Giant Armor City. They were even infamous in other cities. However, in the eyes of the Qi family, they were too insignificant. For an existence like the Qi family, it would be easy for them to kill them. Not to mention the Qi family, even Lin Xian, who had just left, could kill them easily. It would probably be as easy as blowing off dust. My lord, don't worry. I understand. I won't dare say such things again. Madame Hua begged for mercy. The bloody blade monarch snorted coldly. Get up. Things happened too suddenly. I don't blame you for having such thoughts. As he spoke, he fell silent. The bloody blade monarch, was only a rogue cultivator in the past. However, he was able to stand above so many geniuses. What did he rely on? It wasn't his talent or hard work. It was his ability to see through people. With this ability, he relied on countless people and finally managed to climb up the Qi family's branch. That was how he obtained his current status. Now, the feeling that Lin Xian gave him was too dangerous. He had lived for a few hundred years and naturally knew that this youth was too terrifying and had unparalleled potential. He was definitely a true dragon that couldn't be provoked. He had to treat him with caution. Otherwise, he would probably die without a burial ground. Pass down the order. Send people to protect Feng Hao in secret. They couldn't let anything happen to him. He could see that Feng Hao was Lin Xian's friend. Previously, it was because Feng Hao was injured that Lin Xian went against the entire Thousand Herb Hall. He couldn't detect the whereabouts of someone like Lin Xian. Furthermore, he didn't dare to do so. Therefore, the only way he could curry favor with Lin Xian was to protect Feng Hao and even give him many benefits. The elder at the side frowned. He wondered where this kid was from. We have heard of most of the geniuses on the cloud-returning planet. However, this person before us seems very unfamiliar. We don't know. The bloody blade monarch shook his head. Perhaps our qualifications are too low, and we can't understand the top level. Perhaps he is a new genius from some top family or sect. Chapter 31:20. That was indeed the case. Everyone sighed. Although they were powerful, the entire cloud-returning planet was too big. The 10,000 Herb Hall was nothing. Not to mention the 10,000 Herb Hall. Even though the chief family behind them was a colossus, they weren't the best. There were other families that were stronger than the Qi family. Furthermore, there was another possibility. At that moment, the bloody blade monarch spoke again. The other elders were puzzled. What possibility? He might not be from the cloud-returning planet. What? As soon as he said that, the elders trembled and almost knelt on the ground in fright. Madame Hua almost fainted from fright. If he wasn't from the cloud-returning planet, could he be from another planet? I'm just guessing. However, many unfamiliar faces have come to the cloud-returning planet recently. You have to know that the ancient starry sky path has already opened. The cloud-returning planet is a very important stop. It's not strange for geniuses from other planets to come here. If he really is a genius who has stepped onto the ancient starry sky path, you should know how to treat him. The elders were covered in cold sweat. Of course they knew. A genius who had stepped onto the ancient starry sky path was walking the path of a great emperor. All of them were top-notch geniuses. If they provoked such a person, they probably wouldn't even know how they died. After knowing how terrifying Lin Xian was, the bloody blade monarch and the others were even more in awe. Therefore, they hurriedly took action. First, they sent people to secretly protect Feng Hao. Secondly, they had to do their best to collect the spiritual herbs that Lin Xian had left behind. Of course, the bloody blade monarch still had to make a trip to the Qi family to report what had happened. On the other side, The four of them were seated in an exquisite and antique private room. 2 men and 2 women. They were Lin Xian's group. At that moment, the woman in black and Qingqing were sizing up Lin Xian with curious gazes. Through chatting along the way, Lin Xian also learned that this black-dressed woman was called Nalan Yanran. Nalan Yanran seemed to be very interested in Lin Xian. She kept beating around the bush, but in the end, she still couldn't figure out where Lin Xian had come from. Lin Gongzi, what do you plan to do next? Nalan Yanran asked softly. Qingqing and Fang Hao were also watching nervously. Lin Xian tapped his fingers on the table, producing a rhythmic sound. Next, I will continue to collect spiritual herbs. I need a lot of spiritual herbs, about 1,000 types. Moreover, the years needed were also relatively old, so they had to do their best to collect them. Of course, there was one more thing, but it was up to fate. That is, I'm looking for a furnace. Furnace? Could it be that Lin Gongzi was an alchemist? Qingqing cried out. Nalan Yanran's eyes also lit up. Fang Hao was even more shocked. Alchemist was an occupation that was closely related to martial arts. It had always been sought after by many martial artists. Those Danzong craftsmen were treated as honored guests by the major clans. After all, medicinal pills were seriously too important to martial artists. Regardless of whether it was recovery, treatment, breakthroughs, or survival, it could be used at any time. That's right, I am indeed an alchemist. Lin Xian nodded. In his opinion, this might be a very good identity. Moreover, it would help him to collect the spirit herbs he needed faster. No wonder. Nalan Yanran and the others were shocked. No wonder Lin Xian wanted to collect so many spiritual herbs. It turned out that he was an alchemist. Oh, right, Lin Gongzi, if you want a furnace, maybe I know a place. Nalan Yanran suddenly said. Oh, where? Lin Xian raised his eyebrows. He did need a furnace. Previously, he had 10,000 beast ding, but it was not enough now. Most of the pills he refined were for invincible kings. In the future, he would even refine pills for half-saints and saints. Therefore, he had to find a new furnace. The Void Divine Furnace was indeed good, but with Lin Xian's current strength, he could not control it. In a few months, there would be a grand event. At that event, some treasures would be introduced. Among them, there was a furnace that was said to be very impressive. Are you talking about the Tianfeng Pavilion? I know that too. At that time, it would probably attract countless alchemists, experts, and geniuses. That was a grand event, Qingqing said from the side. Fang Hao nodded. Obviously, they all knew about it. The Tianfeng Pavilion? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. It seemed that he would have to make a trip there when the time came. Everyone chatted until late at night. The next day, Lin Xian bade farewell to the 3 of them. After all, both sides had their own things to do. Lin Xian also wanted to take a look around Cloud Returning Planet. Brother Lin, goodbye. Fang Hao looked at Lin Xian, his heart filled with emotions. On the other hand, Nalan Yanran waved her small hand. Lin Gongzi, goodbye at the Tianfeng Pavilion. Lin Xian waved his hand, turned into a ray of sword light, and disappeared into the sky. Then he summoned the little white monkey. This guy's treasure-hunting ability was unparalleled. The little white monkey controlled the treasure ball and pointed in a direction. Lin Xian increased his speed. A few days later, he stopped. Below was an endless dark swamp. Lin Xian used the heavenly secret god eyes and could sense the many auras coming from below. Among them, there were many auras that made him feel refreshed. It seemed that this was really a treasure trove. With a sway of his body, he brought the little white monkey into the forest below. In the dark swamp below, there were countless figures moving. These people were all invincible kings. There were dozens of them. The leader was a cold-looking woman in white. She was very eye-catching in the dark swamp. Second miss, we've been walking for many days, but we still haven't found it. Is the news fake? An old man next to her frowned and asked. The woman in white, called second miss, had a cold expression. Continue to search, even if it takes 8 to 10 years. You must find it. Hearing this, the invincible kings behind her sped up. There was even a majestic array in the sky that spread out in all directions as they moved. There was an ancient mirror above the woman in white's head. It shone in all directions and released thousands of auras. It was obvious that they were looking for something. The woman in white was called Chi Siyu. She was the little princess of the Chi family and had a very high status. This time, she came to the dark swamp to find a spirit medicine called the sky silkworm fruit. This was because an ancestor of the Chi family was seriously injured, and it was getting worse. If he couldn't be cured, he would probably die in less than 10 years. This was the result that the Chi family didn't want to see. However, the Chi family had searched for countless methods over the years, but they still couldn't cure the ancestor. Recently, Chi Siyu saw in an ancient book that there might be hope for the sky silkworm fruit. Therefore, she asked around and finally found a trace of information. In the depths of the dark swamp, there was a sky silkworm fruit. Therefore, Chi Siyu brought a large number of invincible kings to search for it. However, they had been searching for a month and hadn't found it. The dark swamp was too vast. If they searched aimlessly, they probably wouldn't be able to finish searching in a few years. Fortunately, Chi Siyu was the little princess of the Chi family and had many treasures in her hands. Therefore, she was confident that she could greatly reduce the search time. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Suddenly, the ancient mirror above her trembled, and the surrounding array flickered with endless light. Chapter 31:21. What's going on? The invincible kings stopped and were bewildered. Chi Siyu was overjoyed. There was a reaction. It seemed that the sky silkworm fruit was nearby. Increase the range. She shouted and formed a seal with her palms. The ancient mirror above her head suddenly erupted with light, and beams of light shot out in all directions. The others looked on with joy. Was there finally going to be a result? It's on the left. Follow me. The group quickly attacked, tore through the void, and flew into the distance. In front of them, a white light lit up. It was exceptionally eye-catching in the dark swamp, so Chi Siyu saw it in an instant. There it was. Judging from its shape, it really seemed to be the sky silkworm fruit. Many invincible kings behind also saw it. Although it was only a glance, they would not be mistaken. It was a white fruit that looked like a silkworm lying there. In an instant, it disappeared into the darkness. Great! I finally found it. Chi Siyu was very happy. Her figure flickered, and she rushed forward. However, in the next moment, her expression changed, and she quickly dodged to the side. A strange roar came from the darkness ahead. Then, the void broke open, and more than 10 black shadows rushed out. Whoosh! Accompanying them was a monstrous aura that covered the sky and earth. Suddenly, a violent wind blew, sand and stones flew, and lightning interweaved in the surroundings. It was a terrifying scene of destruction. Oh no, it's a beast! The invincible kings behind them also changed their expressions. Hurry up and attack! An old man roared and slashed out with the long sword in his hand. Boundless sword Chi swept out like the Milky Way and slashed forward. The other invincible kings also attacked with all kinds of divine abilities. The void was torn open, and the darkness rolled. The dozen or so black shadows also appeared in front of everyone. There were more than 10 bats, and each of them was a 9-star monster king. A gentle flap of their wings was enough to destroy mountains and rivers. Oh no, it's the soul-devouring bats. Everyone, be careful! Chi Siyu shouted in a low voice. She also pulled out a silver longsword and swept it in all directions. The other invincible kings also moved quickly. In an instant, an earth-shattering battle broke out. On the other side, a red figure descended into the dark swamp. It was Lin Xian. The snow-white little monkey stood on his shoulder, looking very excited. The treasure bowl above its head shone with a mysterious light. From time to time, it would snatch spiritual fruits and spiritual herbs from the air. One's own line, the little white monkey was very happy. Lin Xian activated his Tianji God eyes and scanned his surroundings. As his soul dispersed, his brows suddenly twitched. There was a chaotic energy ahead. It seemed like there was a battle going on. A dragon image appeared under Xiao Chen's feet, carrying him as he quickly flew forward. Up ahead, if they really fought, they were afraid that they would not be a match for the other party. As expected of an extinct mutated species of heaven and earth, it was indeed strong. Qi Siyu gripped the long sword in her hand tightly, turned her head, and said in a delicate voice, "Everyone, success or failure depends on this. Don't worry, Second Miss, we have already prepared. That's right, with that array, we can definitely kill this beast." Voices rang out one after another. Qi Siyu nodded. She was not too worried because they had a set of array in their hands. With more than 30 invincible kings working together to use this array, the power of the array would definitely be beyond imagination. No matter how strong the thunder demonic ape was, it would not be able to withstand it. Buzz, buzz. More than 30 invincible kings quickly formed the array. Array runes appeared under their feet and spread out in the dark swamp. A terrifying and ferocious aura completely enveloped the thunder demonic ape. Roar. The thunder demonic ape also let out a roar that shook the 9 heavens. The endless swamp cracked open, and the space kept shattering. He felt threatened, so he took the initiative to attack. Boom. A huge black claw fell from the sky, bringing with it a sky full of lightning. It smashed down like a thunder hammer. Suddenly, the array runes kept flickering. More than 30 invincible kings roared and instantly counterattacked. In the sky, 2 balls of energy collided rapidly and then exploded. The vast darkness was completely boiling. In the distance, Lin Xian was flying. Suddenly, he felt a violent energy fluctuation in front of him, and a piercing light burst out from his eyes. What a violent aura! It was much stronger than before. He wondered who it was. He stomped his foot and increased his speed again. Not long after, he saw an intense battle in front of him. Although the energy was violent, he could see it clearly with his heavenly secret god eyes. A black ape as tall as a mountain was constantly attacking, and every attack was accompanied by monstrous lightning. Thunder demonic ape. He did not expect that there would be such an existence on Cloud Return Planet. Lin Xian also revealed a trace of surprise. Chapter 31:22. Of course, he knew about these exotic beasts. Wu Ji on his shoulder. The little white monkey curled its lips in disdain, as if it didn't take the demonic thunder ape seriously at all. Lin Xian smiled and rubbed the little guy's head, then looked into the distance again. There were more than 30 figures around the demonic thunder ape, and they were all connected by a formation. Terrifying soared chi tsunamis and flames soared into the sky, bombarding the demonic thunder ape. It was a very powerful formation with more than 30 invincible kings working together. It seemed like they were a powerful force. Were these people hunting the demonic thunder ape? However, it made sense. After all, it was a rare exotic beast. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. Suddenly, a piercing light burst out from his eyes. No, I can feel another aura. The little white monkey also flew up and floated in the air. It looked around and scratched its ears and cheeks. Buzz. Golden runes flashed in Lin Xian's eyes, and they could pierce through the 9 heavens and the earth. Suddenly, he saw a white fruit in the endless darkness. It was like a silkworm lying there. What's that? His heart beat wildly. Sky silkworm fruit. There was a sky silkworm fruit here. He was too excited because the sky silkworm fruit was an extremely important spiritual herb for refining the Saint Breakthrough Pill. Previously, he couldn't find it in the 1,000-herb hall. He originally thought that he would have to spend a lot of time and effort to get news of the Sky Silkworm Kingdom. He didn't expect to find one here. Moreover, judging from the aura and appearance of the Sky Silkworm fruit, it should be quite old, at least 5,000 years old. He had to get his hands on it. Lin Xian's eyes were burning, and the little white monkey beside him was also making noises. However, Lin Xian smiled and said, "Little guy, I can't let you eat this. I'll find another spiritual fruit for you." Huff! The little white monkey let out a breath, looking very unhappy. However, it soon nodded and stretched out a little paw, as if it was bargaining with Lin Xian. Lin Xian didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "All right, I'll brew some supreme-grade spiritual wine for you." This little fellow was a drunkard. The little white monkey's expression was that of a deal. He began to activate the treasure basin, but soon he looked at Lin Xian and shook his head slightly. Was it too far away? All right, then let's get closer. Lin Xian's figure flickered as he rapidly approached. Roar! In front of them, the fierce battle was still going on. The thunder demonic ape was too powerful. Although more than 30 invincible kings had formed a formation, they were still unable to do anything to it. In fact, he was even showing signs of being suppressed. This made Qi Siyu very shocked. What kind of demonic beast was this? Wasn't it too terrifying? Fortunately, she had made sufficient preparations this time. Otherwise, she would have lost her life here if she had rushed forward rashly. Suddenly, the demonic lightning ape spat out 100,000 bolts of lightning. Its huge head looked into the distance as its body trembled slightly. What's going on? He felt a suppression coming from his bloodline. But how was that possible? What was there that could suppress him? He was an extraordinarily powerful mutated species of heaven and earth. Was it an illusion? The demonic lightning ape snorted and turned around again. He stared at the despicable humans around him and began to attack. Qi Siyu also shouted. The invincible kings around her counterattacked crazily. Today, they had to kill this beast here. They didn't notice that a figure was floating quickly and merging into the void, heading toward the darkness ahead. Is it done? Lin Xian asked. The little white monkey nodded and used the treasure basin again. The treasure basin emitted a mysterious power, and rays of golden light appeared on the little white monkey's body. Suddenly, there was an additional item in the treasure basin. It was the sky silkworm fruit. Got it. Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile as he prepared to leave. However, the demonic lightning ape that was fighting in front of them suddenly roared, and the aura on its body suddenly erupted. Streaks of blood-red runes covered his black gold body. In the next moment, it completely blasted open the formation. More than 30 invincible kings were sent flying while vomiting blood. Qi Siyu also suffered a violent impact. She had the ancient mirror floating above her head, and thousands of rays of light shone down to save her life. Even so, the blood in her body was boiling, and her jade-like face was pale. Not good. This beast is going berserk. The invincible king's bodies trembled. It was too terrifying. They couldn't defeat the other party even when they worked together. Moreover, now that the other party had gone berserk, their lives were probably in danger. What surprised them was that after the demonic lightning ape went berserk, it didn't pay attention to them. Instead, it suddenly turned around and stared at the endless darkness ahead. Roar! He opened his mouth, and endless energy and lightning gathered to form a ball of lightning. He threw it forward. Boom! The ball of lightning carried a blood-red light. As soon as it appeared, more than 30 invincible kings and Chi Siu all trembled. It was too terrifying. If the other party used this attack, they probably wouldn't be able to withstand it. Who was the other party attacking? They didn't know. In an instant, the ball of lightning tore through the void and crashed forward. Then it suddenly exploded. Not good. Retreat. Chi Siu and the invincible kings fled crazily. They quickly activated their armor and king domains to defend. Pooh, whoosh. They were sent flying. Between heaven and earth, there was a vast expanse of white. Endless lightning surged, as if the world was about to be destroyed. It lasted for a long time before it gradually subsided. The demonic lightning ape was still incomparably furious. Its eyes stared straight ahead. The invincible kings around it were even more seriously injured. Many of them even had half of their bodies shattered. Fortunately, they didn't die. At this moment, they quickly swallowed pills to recover their bodies. They floated in the void and watched from afar. What was that beast attacking? Chi Siu's expression was even more unsightly. Wasn't that where the sky silkworm fruit was? Could it be that the beast wanted to destroy the sky silkworm fruit? Or was there something wrong with the sky silkworm fruit? Thinking of this, her heart leaped to her throat. These people were extremely nervous. The demonic lightning ape roared uneasily. Its eyes were like rainbows, piercing through the void and staring straight ahead. In front of them, darkness rolled and thunder roared. It was a scene of destruction. However, in the end, the energy slowly dissipated. Then, the darkness was like a tide slapping to both sides, and a figure appeared. That damned beast is so sharp. It actually discovered me. A young man in red appeared in the void, and a hint of surprise appeared on his face. There's someone in front. Chi Siu's beautiful eyes widened in disbelief. The kings in the surroundings were also going crazy. When did someone go over? Why didn't they know? Could it be that the person stole the sky silkworm fruit? And that's why the demonic lightning ape is so angry? The old man said what he thought. Instantly, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Then anger appeared on their faces, and their eyes burned with anger. Damn it! We were fighting to the death with the demonic lightning ape, but someone stole the sky silkworm fruit. That made them very unhappy. That damned brat. We'll catch him later and teach him a lesson. The invincible king's expressions were cold. You're tuning in to the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.